first quarter of Steelers football is brought to you by your Chrysler Plymouth dealers across a 3-state area this afternoon. We have stations tuned in for the Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. We send particular greetings to WWGO in Erie, Pennsylvania, WMBS, Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and WKWK in Wheeling, West Virginia. On a 49-degree afternoon, with the wind at 15 miles per hour, the Steelers are introduced down below. The defensive unit, inasmuch as Cleveland has won the toss, will elect to receive. Pittsburgh will kick off left to right with the wind. Steelers in black jerseys, white numerals, gold pants, and black helmets. And now the Cleveland Browns ready to be introduced.
Well, Jack, I'm having difficulty hearing you over here with all this crowd noise, but the big guessing game coming down here was about the Steeler quarterbacks. In other words, why hand-ready? What's Chaz Noel thinking? The inscrutable Chaz tells nobody, so it's just a guessing game. My own particular logic, as I tried to guess, is that perhaps he feels he has clearly the better team in this ball game, and the only thing that can beat them would be mistakes. And Hanratty, perhaps he regards as his most mistake-free quarterback, and for that reason is starting him. Now, that's just a sheer guess on my part. I'm also guessing that he felt this team needed a little psychological shock, that they might be tapering off and sliding backwards and needed a shock. So that's the only thing I can make of it. But people had all kinds of reasons as they guessed. Some said, well, maybe he feels Bradshaw is better coming off the bench and that he plans to bring Bradshaw off the bench. But, of course, Chaz Noel was saying nothing, so all you can do is guess.
The Cleveland Browns have been introduced. They wear white jerseys, white pants, and they wear the orange helmets with the brown and white stripes. Glenn Edwards, when he was introduced, thanks to the thoughtfulness of the NBC commentators a week ago, Al D. Regattas, who worked him over considerably on national television, he was booed as he came out of the dugout, booed all the way onto the field, and the Steeler defensive unit, which was already out there at the 50, ran all the way down to the 30 to meet Glenn Edwards. That gives you an idea of what they think of their teammates. And now from Cleveland, here is the national anthem. Steelers have not won a game in this gigantic mausoleum since 1964. They defeated the Cleveland Browns 23-7 with Buddy Parker as the head coach, with John Henry Johnson leading the running attack in that ball game. Since that time, they have lost 9 in a row here at Cleveland. And this afternoon, they hope to break out of that losing string. And at the same time, the Browns, having the upset victory just a week ago over New England, 21-14, appear to be a different ball club than the one we had considerable trouble with in Pittsburgh just over a month ago. That was a 20-16 victory. Defensively for the Steelers, L.C. Greenwood, Joe Green, Ernie Holmes, and Dwight White in the front four. Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Andy Russell, the linebackers. J.T. Thomas and Mel Blunt on the corners. Mike Wagner and Glenn Edwards are the safeties. For Cleveland, Dave Sullivan, a wide receiver. Doug Dyken, Pete Adams, Bob DeMarco, John DeMari, Bob McKay, Jim Thaxton along that front line. Thaxton, the tight end. Brian Sight, quarterbacking. The running backs, Greg Pruitt, Ken Brown, Steve Holden, a wide receiver. The Browns will receive to our right. Greg Pruitt and Billy LaFleur are deep. Roy Girella will kick off for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is ready to tee it up at the 35-yard line. On kickoff returns, Pruitt, 15 of them for 439 yards, averaging 29.3. LaFleur, 18 returns, an average of 22.4. Pruitt took one back, 88 yards for a touchdown. So as we look down, we've got Pruitt to the left and LaFleur to the right. Pruitt, a second-year man from Oklahoma, and LaFleur, a third-year man from Henderson State. The Steelers in black jerseys, white numerals, black helmets, gold trim. The Browns in white, coached by Nick Scourge. And now, here is the signal to Roy Girella. Sellout house, over 80,000 on hand. Girella moves forward, kicks the football. It is high, rather long. Pruitt at the 9, over the 10 to the right side of the 15, cutting back over the 20, coming along the 25, running laterally in there. So look out, he's over the 30, to the 35. He fumbles the football. It's loose on the ground. Cleveland recovers. Cleveland recovers at its own 39. Did I say Pruitt? Was it LaFleur? It was LaFleur that coughed it up. And the ball was recovered for the Cleveland Browns by John DeMare. So at the 9-yard line, Billy LaFleur returns that football from the 9 to the 39. He fumbles it. It's recovered at the 40. First down, 10 for the Browns. It was LaFleur, not Pruitt. We're located on the south side of the stadium at rooftop level and off to Greg Pruitt. Pruitt off the right side, out to about the 42-yard line, and Ernie Holmes makes the stop. Slanting off the right side that time and going to the 42-yard line. So the ball is going to be marked at the inbounds marker on the far side of the field. Brian Sipe is the quarterback in his first year out of San Diego State. And they break out of the huddle. All right, they're setting Dave Sullivan up to the near side. First-year man from Virginia, Steve Holden, to the far side. The setbacks are wide. Brian Sipe quarterbacking. Now Sipe rolls left, stops, looks, fires, downfield, completes it to the Pittsburgh 49-yard line. The ball is pulled in by Milton Morin, who came in at tight end. Their favorite target against us. He is stopped by Andy Russell and Jack Lambert. The Browns have completed a pass. Let's see where they're marking the football. They're setting it all the way back to the Cleveland 48-yard line. I'm not exactly certain why.
Well, the crowd doesn't like it. This Brian Sipe is not a big guy. They list him at 6'1". He may be even a little bit smaller than that. He had good protection on that play.
They appeared to have a first down, so they just ruled that he gave ground back to the 48-yard line. He caught it at Pittsburgh 49. Sipe firing again to the 50-yard line to Pruitt. Pruitt had hooked there, takes it. Andy Russell comes up and makes the play on him. Now let's see where they mark it this time. This should give them the first down at the 50-yard line. So Sipe has hit 2 strikes. And the reception on that one was by Greg Pruitt, and that takes them to the 50-yard line. For Morin, his 12th reception on the season, and for Pruitt, his 12th. Cleveland with the first down of the ballgame. All right, the Cleveland Browns in white uniforms, orange helmets, moving right to left, facing a Pittsburgh 4-man front. Sipe has them in the I formation. Sipe calling the signals. Sipe giving to the top of the I. Great throw with the ball. He is nailed, brought down by Jack Ham, running to his right along the Cleveland 45-yard line. And the 4-year veteran from Penn State came wading through people, up over the top of the blockers, and grabbed his man. And down he goes for a 5-yard loss back to the 45. Lauren Taves comes on as a 4th linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Arrowhead Holmes goes off to the Steeler bench on the far side of the field. And it's going to be 2nd down and 15 at the 45-yard line. No score in the ballgame, just underway. Out of the huddle they come, sending Steve Holden to the right, bringing Dave Sullivan to the left. The running backs, Pruitt and Brown, are wide. And here's a fake draw. Sipe is deep. Now running with the football, coming forward to the 40, running laterally along the 40, the near side up to the 44, and knocked out of bounds. Ruled out on the near side by Jack Lambert. He dropped straight back. He headed forward, came laterally along the 40-yard line, and got back just short of the 45. It will be a half-yard loss on the play.
And Brian Sipe moves pretty quickly. He outran Andy Russell to the sideline there. I thought Andy had a good angle on him, but he simply outran him.
Cleveland Browns with the football. It is 3rd down, 15.5 yards to go. We'll call it a full 16. Steve Holden wide to the right to the far side. Dave Sullivan splits to the near side. And Pittsburgh jams it up front. Sipe drops back carefully. Sipe in the pocket. sight, fires, and he misses his target. Down at the Pittsburgh 40, coming across with Steve Holden. Well covered on the play by J.T. Thomas and Mike Wagner, and the pass falls incomplete. Cleveland is 2 for 3. Don Cockcroft will do the punting, averaging 39.5 yards. His longest punt, 57 yards. And the line of scrimmage is the Cleveland 45-yard line. Dick Kahn and Glenn Edwards go deep. At the Pittsburgh 15, Kahn to the left of the kicker, Edwards to the right. Cockcroft kicking right to left across your radio dial. The snap. Cockcroft has it, and his kick is away. A beautiful, booming punt. Kahn back to his 8. Moving to his right, along the 10. He's up to the 15, and is tripped up short of the 20-yard line. Reaching out to get him by the ankle, Tom DeLeon and Jim Thaxton also helping out, and they will spot that football at the Pittsburgh 18.5-yard line. Offensively now, the Steelers ready to go with Terry Hanratty to throw. Johnny Fuqua and Franco Harris, the running back. Ron Shanklin and Frank Lewis, the wide receivers. Larry Brown, the tight end. John Kolb, Sam Davis, Ray Mansfield, Jim Clack, and Gordon Rebel are the interior linemen. Pittsburgh put Shanklin in the slot to the far side. Shifting out of the I formation. Fuqua to the left, Franco Harris to the right. Terry Hanratty takes. Hanratty drops straight back. Takes his time, firing to the near side, and it is dropped by Larry Brown at the 29-yard line. Came down and over. Got out of reach of strong safety. Walt Sumner could not hold the football. The pass is incomplete.
Yes, the ball was catchable, but Brown did have to reach for it somewhat. Good protection for Hanratty, and he comes up with a little bit of a surprise, throwing on first down from his 19-yard line. So the Steelers apparently are not going to play it close to the vest.
Terry Hanratty out of Notre Dame in his 6th season, starting his first game of this campaign. Hanratty with his running backs wide. Gives the ball to Franco. Franco comes across the left side, fumbles the football forward, gets on it himself at the 31-yard line. Franco Harris lost the football. He had picked up a first down. He is covered by Tom Darden as Franco recovers himself at the Pittsburgh 31-yard line. So, we have had a fumble by each team, and each one has remained with the ball club that committed the fumble. Frank Lewis is in the slot to the right, the near side. Pittsburgh moving left to right. Shanklin wide to the near side. From the I formation, quarterback is Hanratty. Hanratty gives the ball to Frenchie Fuqua. Running to the left, turning the corner, up to the 35, and belted out of bounds at the 37-yard line on the far side of the field. With Jim Clack, the 4-year veteran from Wake Forest, blocking. Bob Babbage and Tom Darden finally making the stop on the Frenchman. And he has picked up a solid 6 yards on the play, 2nd down and 4. Hanratty comes into the ball game with only 6 passes on his record this season, 1 completed for 32 yards. So he's seeing his first real action today. Frank Lewis set up as a flanker to the far side to the left of the quarterback. 2nd down and 4 yards to go. Here's Cleveland coming offside. Let's see what the ruling is going to be. On the left side, a Cleveland man jumped, tried to get back. On the right side, a Cleveland man came across and made contact. And the illegal procedure is called against the Steelers. Somebody moved. 5-yard penalty against the Steelers takes it back to the 32-yard line. And it's going to be 2nd down and 8.5 yards to go. That changes the strategy. The ball is marked at the 32, the far side hash mark. Steelers out of the huddle. Mansfield goes over the football. Frank Lewis flanks to the far side. Shanklin is split to the near side. And back goes Hanratty. Hanratty throws to the near side. Intercepted! It was intended for Frenchie Fuqua at the 36. Cutting in front of him to take it was Bob Babbage. Babbage intercepts. And Fuqua makes the tackle. And Cleveland has the ball with great field position at the Pittsburgh 32.5-yard line.
Well, Babbage knew it was coming. I kind of thought that Hanratty might be looking for Franco Harris, might be throwing to him because he immediately went out of the backfield, Franco did upfield, but he threw to the Frenchman, and Babbage had it all figured out.
At the 32-yard line, it is 1st down 10. Split end left, flanker right. Joe Green almost offside. Handoff, carried to the left side by Ken Brown, and he is nailed. He'll not make the line of scrimmage. Jack Lambert makes the stop. Cleveland has just taken over the football on a pass interception. Now the Browns lose a yard back to the 33. 2nd down and 11. And the cloud has blotted out the sun for at least a moment here at the Lakefront Stadium. Steelers bench across the way from us. We're on the south side. The open end of the stadium is to our right. Scoreboard is in that same direction. Brian Sipe, quarterback in the Cleveland Browns. Sipe takes, he's back and throwing. Long ball, far side, look out. They can't reach it in the end zone. Steve Holden, good speed out beyond J.T. Thomas, could not get to the football in the end zone, and the bomb is incomplete.
You betcha. If Sipe doesn't throw that ball quite so long, it's a big 6. Sipe has not looked real good throwing so far, although he is 2 for 4. His short passes have been sort of like dying quails, and on the long bomb there, he overthrew his man. But, of course, this game is young, and it's a scoreless ball game, and Sipe might just be getting his bearings.
Lorne Taves has entered the ball game as a fourth linebacker. This time, Joe Green. Well, Green is coming back, and Ernie Holmes will go off again. Bob DeMarco goes over the football for the Cleveland Browns. Brian Sipe ready to step under center. 3rd down and 11. Sipe drops back. Sipe looks there after him. They get him, but not in time. He throws to Pruitt at the 30, running laterally to the far side, breaks the tackle, cuts downfield, and goes to the Pittsburgh 26-yard line. He has fumbled it, and the ball is given to Cleveland. The tackle by J.T. Thomas. He fumbled the football, but they rolled. The Cleveland Browns have maintained control. The Steelers were jumping up and down. Chuck Noll was out on the field by about 8 yards to protest the call on the play, which was right in front of the Steeler bench as he lost that football. And it was recovered by the Cleveland Browns, and that is the second time this afternoon that they have recovered. Don Cockcroft is on to try for a field goal. And this attempt will be from the 34, a 44-yard try. He has made 2 out of 3 from this range. Cockcroft kick. It is good. 44-yard field goal, Cockcroft. Cleveland takes a 3-0 lead. There's a break in the action. We'll be right back.
So Cleveland has taken an early 3-0 lead on a 44-yard field goal by Don Cockcroft. Then immediately followed a questionable call by the officials when there seemed to be a loose ball, but they blew it dead. It seemed like the Steelers had recovered a fumble, but that was not to be. Jack?
Chris Gardner is kicking off. Steve Davis and Mel Blunt are deep. And Blunt has fielded the ball up over the 20, the 25, the 30, and he is tackled on a classic tackle. Comes down at the 31-yard line. Jim Romanishin from Edinburgh State. Mel Blunt is in there running on kickoff returns in place of Preston Pearson, who has a pulled hamstring, did not make the trip. Cleveland Browns have taken a 3-0 lead on Cockcroft's field goal. For Don Cockcroft, he's made 9 of 11. He leads the Browns in scoring with 48 points on the season. Pittsburgh ready to go. Terry Hanratty is the quarterback. We've got Lewis wide to the left side. Flanking right, Ron Shanklin. 5-man front for Cleveland. And a fake by Hanratty. Has plenty of time to look out. He throws to the far side, overthrows Larry Brown out of bounds at the 42-yard line, covered by John Garlington. Hanratty had a lot of time, and then suddenly they were coming at him, and he got rid of the football to the far side, but he overthrew his target. There's no way that Larry Brown could have caught that one in fair territory. The ball returns to the 31-yard line at the hash mark. It is 2nd down and 10 yards to go. Hanratty, as you might expect, without the activity in game competition, has been rusty thus far in the ballgame. Fuqua shifts to the left off the top of the eye. Here is Hanratty giving the ball to Franco. Finds the opening over the left side. Cuts to it and then back goes to the 33-yard line, and they've got him. Appeared to be gaining daylight, but then they closed the hole. Mark Seifert and Bob Babbage. Seifert is a rookie from Wisconsin playing defensive right end, and Babbage is the middle linebacker out of Miami of Ohio. They stop him at the 33, where it's going to be 3rd and 7. Nick Roman, Walter Johnson, Jerry Shirk, and Mark Seifert in the front 4. Charlie Hall, Bob Babbage, John Garlington, the backers. Clarence Scott and Van Green on the corners. Sumner and Darden are the safeties. Pittsburgh, Hanratty, dropping back. Hanratty staying in the pocket, firing down the middle. There's Shanklin at Cleveland 49. He's to the 45, the 40, the 35. Knocked down at the 31-yard line. The tackle made by Clarence Scott, rather. I was thinking of a shot taken by Van Green. That's what NBC would call it, a cheap shot after the man was down when he dived in and hit him. It's easy to criticize from up above, but his momentum just simply took him in after the play was down on the ground. The tackle by Scott and Green coming over. It emphasizes a point that when you're playing this game for keeps, you don't always control yourself on the hit. Pittsburgh is 1 for 4 passing, and Hanratty has hit his target. First down, 10 yards to go. Hanratty giving the ball to Franco, running to the left. No hole, cuts back, goes over the 30 and down to the 28-yard line. He'll pick up some yardage on that play as Franco cuts back. He's tackled by Bob Babbage, the middle linebacker, and the ball is spotted at the 28-yard line. It is second down and about 5.5 to go.
That pass a moment ago, Hanratty to Shanklin, was good for 35 yards. Shanklin getting wide open in front of Clarence Scott, the guy who eventually made the tackle. Now Franco this time on his run. Good downfield blocking by Frank Lewis, not noted as a blocker.
Shanklin's 15th reception of the season. The Cleveland lineup on defense. Here is Hanratty back, and he's throwing, and there's Shanklin wide open at the 12. He's going for a Pittsburgh touchdown. Shanklin beats Charlie Hall and Bob Babbage, coming straight down, squaring in along the 12-yard line. Shank wide open in the middle, takes the ball, moving to the far side of the field along the 12, cuts suddenly down over the 10, wide open, went into the end zone unmolested. So Ron Shanklin catches his second pass of the afternoon, his 16th of the season. And that, from a touchdown standpoint, will be Shanklin's first of the campaign. Bobby Walden, the holder. Girella trying for the point after. Steelers moving electrically, dynamically, after sputtering at the beginning of the drive. And here is Girella kicking. It is good. A 7-3 ball game in favor of Pittsburgh with a break in the action. We'll be right back.
We're number one, hands down. We're number one, hands down.
That's your Chrysler Plymouth Steelers, telling you we've got America's #1 selling small car. The reason? Our valiant dusters and scamps. But we don't stop there. We've got the new small Fury, Fury Sport. Brand new styling in a smaller Fury package. And Cordoba, our new small Chrysler. That's right, small Chrysler. And our full-size Chryslers have some great new looks, too. So come on in to your Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
And we'll make it happen. We'll make you number one, hands down. We're Chrysler Steelers.
Pick up your Steeler booster kit containing bumper stickers, Steeler schedule, and Steeler media guide from your Steelerland Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
On the touchdown play, the Steelers got Ron Shanklin isolated on linebacker Charlie Hall, who's a good one, but no way a linebacker is going to stay with Shanklin on the cut across the middle. The pass good for 27 yards. The Steelers now lead the Browns 7-3 with 6 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the first period. Jack?
Girella kicking off left to right. LaFleur and Pruitt are deep. And this one is spinning and twisting toward the sideline, and it is going out of bounds at the 20. LaFleur was over there to cover it, and along with him, another Brown over the football. Mel Long went out of bounds at the 20-yard line. They'll bring it back. Pittsburgh will be penalized 5 yards for illegal procedure. That is the second 5-yard penalty against the Steelers, a total of 10 on the afternoon. And Girella will tee it up now at the 30 and kick it once again. The wind that prevails at the moment is with Roy Girella at a slight angle as he kicks toward the open end of the stadium. But that was a badly hit kickoff and angled off to the side, spinning, and went to the far side of the field. Now we've got one of the Browns coming back, Jim Romanishin, and talking to the two deep men as they reassemble for the next kickoff from the Pittsburgh 30. And they're deploying Romanishin with two other blockers for the wedge up front. And again, it is Pruitt and LaFleur deep. And here is Girella kicking. Good one this time. Very high. It will be LaFleur. At the 7, slips, comes over the 10 to the 15. LaFleur to the 20, the 25. Puts his head down, dives forward. He's to the 27 or 28-yard line under a pileup of jerseys. Dave Rivas made the stop for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Billy LaFleur brings the ball back from his own 7. He is out to the 28-yard line, a 21-yard return, and the Browns have a 1st and 10.
And Jack, what was really pretty about Hanratty's drive there, the 35-yard and a 27-yard passes, was that right after an interception on the previous series, he comes back. He hasn't played much, but he didn't let that interception shake him up.
Cleveland Browns have the football at their own 28-yard line. Slot left formation. Shift Pruitt off the top of the eye to the left side. He's one of the Steelers who will not be flying home with the club tonight. They'll get a little extra time this week because they play on Monday the following weekend, and Lambert will spend it out here in Ohio. The middle linebacker from Kent State. Gain of 4 yards, 2nd down and 6 for the Cleveland Browns. And as J.D. pointed out, on those kickoffs, the Steelers have tried to keep it away from Pruitt, and they've done that. LaFleur himself, though, a pretty good return man. Here is the handoff to Pruitt. Pruitt on a slant over the right side is nailed. He is ripped up. Ernie Holmes was there to meet him, grabbed him and flipped him down to the turf, and there may be a slight loss on the play. Let's call it 3rd down and 5 yards to go. We'll be back after this pause on the Steelers Football Network.
I'm Tom Lyons, and I'm right here every night at midnight to keep you company all night long.
WTAE, AM and FM, Pittsburgh.
Here they come out of the huddle. Lawrence Aves is in as a 5th linebacker, and rather as a 4th linebacker, and we've got 3 men up front for the rush. Here is Sight back. He's nailed, but gets the pass away, overthrows his target on the far side at the 48-yard line, coming down and over to the sideline. Steve Holden. In pursuit was J.T. Thomas. Sight went down. He was hit. Did we get a penalty marker back there? We did. Sight was hit. Now the ball has been placed at the 33-yard line, and we have a conference on the play. The pass was incomplete. Steelers are being consulted at the moment. Andy Russell is talking with the official. Let's see what the ruling is going to be. Units changing. Cleveland holding against Cleveland declined by the Steelers. So the Browns will be in punt formation. Don Cockroft will punt the football for the Cleveland Browns. And we have gone deep with Dick Kahn and Glenn Edwards. And they're stationed at the Pittsburgh 25-yard line. And the Browns will give it up to the Steelers, who lead in the ball game 7-3. We have 4:44 to play in the opening period. Cockroft standing at his own 18-yard line, moving forward to the 19. Kahn and Edwards downfield. The kick will carry right to left. Snap of the football. Cockroft hits it, and he gets away a low, wobbly kick, line drive type, bouncing out in front of Kahn. He scoops it up at the 31. He's hit, and down he goes. The Browns are right there. They drive him back 7 yards. Somebody else has the football. He's giving the football to Edwards. Edwards running to the right, comes up to the 40, onto the 41 to the 42-yard line, and let's see if the ball is going to be dead. It is dead. So the tackle was made at the 31 as he was driven back. And the initial contact on the play was by Mel Long, so the ball is dead at the 31. Steelers football continues after this brief timeout.
HFC believes the holidays should be happy days, days spent enjoying your family. So if we can possibly take a money problem off your mind, we're nearby and ready to help. Fact is, we've probably helped more families celebrate happy holidays than any other consumer finance company. If we can help you, see us at Household Finance, an equal opportunity lender.
Dick Kahn on the punt return, a very risky lateral to Glenn Edwards. Man, that could have been trouble, but in any case, they called the play dead, said that Kahn had been stopped, and brought Glenn Edwards back. But holy cow, I hope that Kahn doesn't try that again, even though he got away with it that time. Well, the Steelers have the ball at their own 31-yard line. First time, they lead in this ball game 7-3. We've seen Terry Hanratty looking just great on the touchdown drive after a shaky start in this ball game. When in the early moments, he did not throw the ball well and threw an interception, in fact, but he didn't let that get to him. He's a guy who could very easily be shaken by an incident like that, in as much as he has played so little this year, but he didn't let it get to him. He came right back, 2 nifty passes of 35 yards and 27 yards to Ron Shanklin. They were the big plays in the touchdown drive. The second one, of course, the 27-yarder being the touchdown toss. So the Steelers will put it in play now at their own 31-yard line. Beautiful day here in Cleveland. The lake is so blue, Jack. I tell you, I should have written a poem about the lake.
Tom Leslie went water skiing this morning, had a fantastic time. We were in Denver. He went snow skiing. This afternoon, water skiing. Got his head all wet. Slot right formation. I'm only joking. You wouldn't have known that, would you? Here's the handoff. Hanratty to Frenchie off the left side. Dives forward to the 34-yard line. Down around the ankles. He was grabbed by Mike Seifert. I think I was calling him Mark. Rookie from Wisconsin. What do you call him, Mike or Mark?
I call him Seifert.
That's good. Seifert grabbed him. Second down and 7.
They're running a lot over that side of the Cleveland line. The right side of the Cleveland defensive line is being very sorely tested by the Steelers.
2nd and 7, Terry H. at the controls. Out of Butler by way of Notre Dame to the Steelers. Hanratty drops back. Hanratty looks twice and now throws long, and down there is Lewis looking for it. Is taken away from him. Intercepted in front of him. Back over the 30, the 35, the 40. Clarence Scott with the ball, running all the way to the 49-yard line. And Scott has returned the football on the interception. The tackle made by Franco Harris at the 49-yard line.
It was an easy interception for Scott. He returned the ball 25 yards. What happened, I do believe, is that Terry Hanratty, trying to unload the bomb, did not throw it well. He threw it much shorter than he had intended to. He didn't seem to have a good handle on the football when he let it go. And so the Browns take over at their own 49-yard line. And this is some kind of a ball game we're watching.
Cleveland coming out of the huddle. Brian Sipe shifting his wide men into a slot right formation. Got his setbacks wide, too. Here's Sipe taking, dropping back, being chased out of the pocket, throwing on the run, completing the pass to Milt Moore at the Pittsburgh 47-yard line. Make it the 46 as he is hit and driven back by Jack Ham. And again, that tight end is the target. The second time this afternoon he has caught the football. Myron is a 9-year veteran from Massachusetts. 6'4", 236 pounds, have been listed in the starting lineup behind Jim Thaxton. Not listed in the starting lineup, but listed on the depth chart behind him. But Thaxton did not start. Myron started this afternoon. Holden goes wide to the right. He's out of Arizona State. Dave Sullivan from Virginia is wide to the left. And they shift Pruitt off the top of the eye. Now they shift the other running back to the left, and here's Sipe giving the ball to Ken Brown, and Brown tries the right side. He goes to the 45-yard line, across it to the 44, and the tackle made by Ernie Holmes. Holmes makes the stop, and the ball is being spotted at the 44-yard line, where it is going to be 3rd down and about 3.5 yards to go.
Arrowhead Holmes this afternoon is demonstrating to Cleveland that he's got great lateral pursuit to his left. He plays the right side of the line, but he's made at least 3 tackles on the other side of the line this afternoon. Beautiful work by Arrowhead.
Cleveland on 3rd, 3.5. Brian Sipe is the quarterback. Here is Sipe dropping back. Sipe is looking, throwing to the near side now, and a leaping try by Moore at the 35-yard line is unsuccessful. He's covered by Mike Wagner very effectively, the strong safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the pass is incomplete, and Cleveland will give up the football. And the Cleveland Browns will be punting with the line of scrimmage to the Pittsburgh 45, and Don Cockcroft will do the kicking. And we send deep Glenn Edwards and Dick Kahn. This punt will carry right to left as we view the ball game for you at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. Here they come out over the football. Tom DeLeon will snap. Cockcroft is standing at the 41-yard line in Cleveland territory. 7-3 in favor of the Steelers. 2:10 to go in the opening quarter. The snap. And Cockcroft gets it away. High. Beautiful punt over the head of Glenn Edwards into the end zone. And the ball is dead for the automatic touchback, and the Steelers take over at their own 20.
A punt of 45 yards by Cockcroft. The Cleveland offense this afternoon has given Brian Sipe much better protection than Cleveland has been credited with in the past. Early this season, at least, their pass protection was supposed to be horrible, but they've given Sipe, with the exception of one play, they've given him great protection, but he has not been able to hit his receivers, or else they've been covered very well by the Steelers secondary. Here go the Steelers at their own 20-yard line. Whoops, no, they call another timeout, or what's going on down here? They're going back into the huddle again. I don't know what's cooking, Jack.
I decided to stand up for a couple of minutes so I can see this side of the field. I hadn't even seen the Cleveland bench all afternoon. We are on the roof here at the stadium, and they have built a table, and they give you bar stools to sit on. Well, if I sit on the bar stool, my knees and legs hang out over the top of the table. So I have been in a regular chair, which puts me down about 2 feet below the table and blots out the Cleveland bench area, the near sideline, and about, I'd say 5 to 6 yards of the playing field itself. So I'll get up and take a look at this situation. And right now the scoreboard is within view of our eyes, and the Detroit Lions leading New York 10-3. They're playing the Giants. And that is one period of play. 10-3 in favor of Detroit. The only score up on the board at the moment. Pittsburgh leading Cleveland 7-3, and needing a victory this afternoon rather desperately. Stay ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh ready to go. 1st and 10. The quarterback is Terry Hanratty at his own 20-yard line. Hanratty takes the ball, gives it off to Frenchie Fuqua. Dive up the middle, and he'll pick up almost 4 yards. Walter Johnson and Nick Roman make the defensive play. Roman, the 5-year veteran from Ohio State, and Johnson in his 10th year out of Cal State, L.A. A 4-yard gain on the play, and that's a winner for the first down. 2nd and 6.
I kind of think we might see Hanratty sticking more to the ground now because he's been stung twice with interceptions, but let's see what happens.
Running backs are Fuqua and Harris. Hanratty gives the ball to Franco Harris, trying to slip over the left side. They have him pretty well cornered as he crosses the 25, goes down at the 26, slanting to the far side of the field. Jerry Shirk and Bob Babbage team up on the tackle that time. Leaves Pittsburgh with a 3rd down, short 4.
Franco Harris ordinarily is exceptionally good at picking his holes, but it seemed to me this afternoon that on that play and on another play at least, he's gone the wrong way. He's either gone wide when he should have gone inside or vice versa, but oh well.
Draw handoff to Franco to the left, coming back to the right, to the middle, finds the opening to the 35 to 40. Here he goes, turns it on. He's down to the Cleveland 40, the 30, the 25, the 20, brought down from behind. Caught by Walt Sumner and Tom Darden. Franco started to the left, took 1 step to the left, cut back to the right. Found daylight, came through it, ripping straight down the middle of the field, racing into Cleveland territory. Finally caught from behind and brought down at the Cleveland 19-yard line. So he goes 31 yards in Cleveland territory, 24 yards out of his own territory. That adds up to 55 yards. A 55-yard run for Franco. And a first down for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their 4th of the afternoon. Dynamic run by Franco Harris at the Cleveland 19. Hanratty gives the ball to Fuqua through the middle. He has yardage to the 15 inside of the 14-yard line, a 5-yard gainer. Time runs out in the first quarter of the ball game at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. That's the end of the first quarter with a score. Pittsburgh 7, Cleveland 3. Jack Fleming back at the Lakefront Stadium in Cleveland. First quarter over. 7-3 Pittsburgh, and the opening period of today's game was brought to you by your Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Now the second quarter of Steelers 74 action is presented by Vasco Catalog Showrooms. The ball is at the Cleveland 14. Pittsburgh now moving right to left toward the closed end of the stadium, running in the shade. And it's 2nd down, 5 to go.
And Franco on his 55-yard run, up around his own 40-yard line or 45, put a move on defensive back Tom Darden. It simply faked Darden so effectively that he turned around in a circle as though somebody had spun him, though nobody had touched him, and he left Darden behind. And then Franco turned it on, but he was not fast enough to outrun Walt Sumner, who came up with a terrific burst of speed to drag him down with the flying tackle, and again with Darden's help on the plate. So here go the Steelers.
Shanklin wide to the right. Lewis is in the slot, wide on the right side. The setbacks are wide. Hanratty quarterbacking. Terry H. drops back. Cocks his arm, fires for the end zone. There goes Shanklin, overthrows him. Shanklin takes it out of bounds. Incomplete. Shanklin caught the football, but he was a yard or two out of bounds. Hanratty let it go too long. Over the end line as Clarence Scott and Tom Darden were covering on the play. Shanklin had them beat, but at that point they may have dropped off and eased up a little bit as they saw the end of the end zone coming and the pass overthrown. Hanratty is 2 for 7, has had 2 intercepted, and 1 of his completed passes went for a touchdown. Third down now, a long 5. Pittsburgh at the Cleveland 14-yard line. Again, Lewis is in the slot to the right, inside Shanklin. Shanklin getting head-to-head coverage from Clarence Scott. Hanratty looking, throwing, and incomplete. Trying to hit Shanklin, coming down and across at the goal line. Clarence Scott over there on the play. Hanratty got a pretty good lick that time from Nick Roman on the rush. It is 4th down, and Jarella comes on.
Shanklin had Clarence Scott beat, no doubt about it. It was a big 6 if Hanratty does not lead him a little too much with the pass.
Girella has hit 11 out of 17. And this is going to be from the 22-yard line, a 32-yard attempt. In this range, he is 6 for 10. Bobby Walden, the holder at the 22. It is down. Girella kicks it. It is good, a 32-yarder. Pittsburgh moves out to a 10-3 lead with a break in the action. We'll be right back.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
Shopping the Basco way is enjoying fabulous everyday savings on brand name merchandise you trust, like Polaroid's famous Square Shooter 2 camera with electric eye and electronic shutter that sets your exposure automatically. It uses Polaroid's inexpensive Square color film, and the built-in flash takes the inexpensive flash cubes. It even tells you when all 4 flashes are used. The manufacturer's list price is $24.95, but Basco's everyday low price is $18.77. Thousands save every day shopping the Basco way. And remember to register for free Steeler tickets. Basco catalog showrooms, Route 22 Monroeville, and at the Whitehall Terrace Shopping Center.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
Interestingly enough, Greg Pruitt is lining up at his 6-yard line with LaFleur directly behind him a couple of yards. In other words, giving Pruitt the option of going either to the right or left. The Steelers not knowing where he'll be. That will prevent them from kicking it away from him.
LaFleur is in front, Pruitt behind him.
All right.
So Pruitt's at the 3, LaFleur is at the 6. Girella has been successful in keeping the ball away from Pruitt, and he's still doing a little stunning down there, and Girella is kicking off. High, and Pruitt will be waiting for it at the 6. Here he comes to the 10, the 15, to the left, up over the 20, running outside of the 25, to the 30, and thrown at the 32-yard line. Catching up with him over there on the far side was Reggie Garrett, who throughout the season has made his share of tackles on kickoff returns. So Pruitt returns it to the 32-yard line. Cleveland, 1st and 10, moving left to right here at the Lakefront Stadium.
Roy Girella is doing just what Chuck Noll wants him to do, getting the ball up high on those kickoffs so that Pruitt will be perhaps held somewhere deep in Cleveland territory, but that time he returned it nicely all the same.
Steve Holden wide to the near side, and Dave Sullivan split only about 3 yards to the left. Comparatively tight formation. Sipe coming to the right, now throwing and completing the pass up to the 45-yard line. Pulling the ball in with Steve Holden, hit immediately by Mike Wagner, belted out of bounds along the 45, and Cleveland has the first down. Ample yardage for the second first down of the afternoon for the Cleveland Browns. Sipe has thrown 8 times, completed 5. Now Hugh McInnes is in the lineup as a running back, second-year man from Arizona State, 6 feet, 215-pounder, replacing Ken Brown. McInnes and Pruitt are the running backs. Ryan Sipe, the quarterback, out of San Diego State. Shifting Pruitt off the eye to the right side. Sipe at his own 45, drops back, swing pass, right side to McInnes at the 42, up over the 45. He is tripped up by Jack Ham, and he touches down at the 46, but I think they're going to let him get the 48. Now let's see, another official's taking the ball. Ham pointed. He thought he had him at the 46-yard line where he appeared to touch the ground, but he struggles forward to the 48. And the ball is marked there, second down and along 6. Greenwood, Green, Holmes, and White in the front 4. Ham, Lambert, and Russell, the linebackers. Thomas and Blunt are on the corners. Wagner and Edwards are the safeties for Pittsburgh. Cleveland lining up with Bob DeMarco going over the football. Sullivan to the left. Holden to the right. The I formation. And Pittsburgh may have been offside. The handoff to McInnes hits through the left side of the line over the 50, goes down to the Pittsburgh 46-yard line, and the tackle made by Andy Russell, and working along with him, Mike Wagner, but Pittsburgh was offside.
And it was Fats Holmes, if anybody. We'll see what the call is. Did they call the offside? If so, it was Arrowhead Holmes who jumped the gun.
They're looking now to see whether Cleveland has the first down. Cleveland apparently doesn't at the 46. It would be third and short yardage. Now they take the 5-yard penalty, which will put them at the 47. It will be just second down and about 2 yards to go. So they take the 5-yard penalty rather than the run. That is the third 5-yarder inflicted on the Steelers. Second down and 2 yards to go. Sipe steps under center. Russell sneaks up and cheats a little bit on the right side. And the handoff is given to McInnes. And McInnes hits off left tackle. He's down to the 42, very near the 41-yard line. And that time, the stop made by Ham and Lambert. They will spot the ball at the 42, first down for Cleveland.
And that is Cleveland's third first down of the ball game. This drive started back at their 32-yard line. They have advanced the ball to the Steelers' 42. Steelers lead in this game 10-3.
Cleveland lines up in the I formation. Ken Brown is back in there as a running back. McInnes takes it, hits forward, spins away from a tackle, goes over the 40, and is to the 39-yard line. And he's got Jack Lambert and Andy Russell in on the play at the 39. J.D. points out that McInnes is 26 years old. Although a second man in the NFL, he spent some time in the Canadian Football League out of Arizona State. That second-year statistic on him might be a little bit misleading. He picks up about 2.5 yards. Second down, 7.5 to go. McInnes is the inside back, and Ken Brown is at the top of the I. They shift. Brown to the left, McInnes to the right. Brian Sipe calling the signal. Pittsburgh shifting its defensive line a little bit. Draw, handoff, taken by McInnes. Goes off the left side, down over the 35, and on to the 31. Jack Lambert made the tackle. Now they caught the Pittsburgh front four, maneuvering a little bit, and they found the hole, sent McInnes through it. And that could have very well been a checkoff for the quarterback as he viewed the maneuvering that they were doing. And he found the hole for McInnes, and McInnes carries to the 31 for the fourth first down of the afternoon for the Cleveland Browns. Out of the huddle they come. The Browns in Pittsburgh territory at the 31. The Steelers leading 10-3. Brian Sipe, swing pass to the left side, and Andy Russell doesn't see it coming. Russell vying out there for position with Hugh McInnes at the 35. And McInnes could not get to the football, and it appeared to me as though the ball may have bounced off the shoulder of Andy Russell, who had his back to it. So the ball is brought back to the 31-yard line. The pass is incomplete.
Yes, Sipe hit Andy in the back with the pass. Andy was flying out to the sideline to cover McInnes, and the pass was thrown a little bit low. He probably wished he had lofted it over Andy, but he hit him in the back.
Second down 10 at the Steelers' 31-yard line. Brian Sipe rolling right along the 40, fires, and a diving catch downfield, a flag on the play. The ball is caught by Steve Holden, goes out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Got a holding call against the Pittsburgh Steelers at the 18. That's where the receiver went out, right at the 18, not the 13. They're ruling that pass was incomplete then. He appeared to come down out of bounds. Now Cleveland takes the 5-yard mark off to the 26-yard line and the automatic first down. 5-yard penalty. Fifth first down for the Cleveland Browns. So the pass was incomplete. Pittsburgh called for defensive holding, and the Browns get the 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down. No action for the Steelers next Sunday. A week from Monday night, we're back at Tulane Stadium in New Orleans for the New Orleans Saints. All right, the ends are close. Flanker right. Here's Sipe firing, completing the pass down to the 23-yard line, and Miltmore in the tight end. Running laterally across the 23, takes the pass. He goes down at the 21.5-yard line with Mike Wagner, the strong safety, making the tackle. And Cleveland picks up short yardage, about 5 yards, and that is the third time I believe they've hit more in this afternoon.
And only once today has Sipe attempted to throw deep. He's just sticking with those short passes. The Steelers are coming up pretty well on them, though. But now, of course, the Browns are at the 22-yard line. This is the first drive they've really put into effect against the Steelers today.
Okay, they are moving over the real estate here at Municipal Stadium. The slot man to the left side. Brian Sipe gives it off to Brown. He cracks off the right side. Across the 20. Down to the 17-yard line, and Joe Green and Jack Ham are there to make the stop on him at the 17-yard line. Short of a first down by about a yard. It is going to be 3rd down and 1 to go. Jim Thaxton enters the ball game replacing Dave Sullivan. Cleveland Browns with a pair of tight ends, Thaxton and Morin. 3rd down and a yard to go at the Pittsburgh 17. Steelers bunch their defense up front. Tight formation for Cleveland. Steelers almost offside. Maybe they were. Handoff to McInnes. Tries to get outside. Slips across the 15 and is brought down out at the 13-yard line by Glenn Edwards. Now we're getting a 5-yard mark-off against the Cleveland Browns. This will be the first time this afternoon they've been penalized. Illegal procedure against the Browns. A 5-yard penalty. Moving the ball back to the 22-yard line. So it came at a most opportune time. They are 3rd down now. And about 6 yards to go. Lauren Taves enters the ball game as a 4th linebacker for the Steelers, replacing Ernie Holmes. Greg Pruitt is back in the ball game, replacing Ken Brown for Cleveland. Dave Sullivan replaces Jim Thaxton. This time Holden is in the slot, close on the left side. Wide to the left, Dave Sullivan. Brian Say drops back, throws, hits his target at the 20. Greg Pruitt with the football, brought down at the 18 by Jack Lambert. So Pruitt, coming off the left side, across, in front of the line of scrimmage, takes the ball. Lambert nails him at the 18. It is going to be 4th down and 2 yards to go. And Cleveland is bringing on Don Cockcroft, getting a slight negative reaction from the Cleveland Browns fans. Cockcroft, earlier this afternoon, put Cleveland on the board first. On that occasion, in the first quarter, kicked the 44-yard field goal. Now he is going to kick from the 26-yard line. This will be a 36-yard attempt. Mike Phipps is the holder. Snap of the football. It is down, and it is up there. Good. I'm going to call that one a 36-yard attempt. The score is 10-6 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a break in the action, and we'll be right back.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
Here's great news for you and your hard-earned dollars. You can whip inflation now at Basco catalog showrooms. For 20 years, Basco has been one of America's toughest inflation fighters. And now, during Basco's giant 20th anniversary sale, prices are down again on brand name merchandise. You know the names: Sunbeam, General Electric, Hamilton, Spalding. Come in right now. Fabulous savings on appliances, radios, giftware, even jewelry. Basco doesn't just talk about inflation. Check Basco's prices and compare. You can whip inflation right now during the giant 20th anniversary sale. Now underway at all Basco showrooms. Check your white pages for the showroom nearest you.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
Well, the Steelers were arguing with the officials that Cockcroft's field goal was not good, but it will stand. Another dispute taking place in the end zone stands where the Steeler fans are. Somebody's slugging it out over there. Nice little brawl. Jack?
Why don't you call a kickoff? I was watching the people in the stands. Here it is, knocked down at the 10-yard line, picked up at the 9 by Blunt, out over the 20, the 25, to the 30, and ridden to the ground at the 32-yard line. Mel Blunt on the return, and Mark Engelfritz got the first hit on him as they returned it to the 31-yard line. Now, let me see what's happening. The police are up there in the stands. This is a typical day. Boy, they're still going at it over there. Somebody's beating on someone else's back.
I see a lady fighting a man.
It's starting all over again. Swarming like bees up there in the end zone. Pittsburgh with a football. Fumbled forward by Frenchie Fuqua. Make that Franco, I believe. It was Franco on the carry over the right side. John Garlington hit him. Charlie Hall got the initial lick, and Garlington got on the ball at the 40-yard line. So Frenchie Fuke with the ball carrier coming off. I make that Franco.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing I did last year with it. Franco, the ball carrier, coming off the right side, lost it. Cleveland recovers. The second Pittsburgh fumble, the first one that our club has given up this afternoon. On the turnover, Cleveland gets the ball at the Steelers' 40-yard line. Send the flanker, Steve Holden, wide to the right. Here's Brian Seif. Firing to the right side, overshoots his target, Milt Morin, running laterally to the near side along the 37, incomplete. What do you say we pause now for station identification?
This is Pittsburgh's #1 sports station with Myron Cope on sports, Pitt football and basketball, plus
The Pittsburgh Steelers, WTAE, AM and FM, Pittsburgh.
At Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, Pittsburgh leads the Browns 10-6. Over in the end zone stands, the Browns lead the Steelers 23-17. That is in the number of fans that have mixed it up in fisticuffs over there, actual count. Brian Seif ready to go at the Steeler 40. Draw handoff carried by McInnes. Breaks a tackle at the 40, down to the 35. Slipped away from Ernie Holmes at the 40. Nailed down at the 35 by Wagner and Edwards. So he picks up 5 yards on the play, and Ernie just about had him right at the line of scrimmage. And it's going to be 3rd down and a short 5.
And when Brian Seif has gone to the air in this period a couple of times, he has gone to the rollout pass. Perhaps he finds he's having trouble seeing over the big Steeler front four.
All right, it is 3rd down and a short 5. Seif drops back. They're still at it in the stands. Seif fires, and it's incomplete. Intended for Pruitt at the 29, broken up by Jack Ham. The pass is incomplete, and that will be his 12th of the afternoon with 6 of them completed. They got a bunch of police up there in the stands trying to maintain order. I'll tell you what, got 2 or 3 people juiced up over there and going at it. Now, I believe that somebody is going down, and they may have to get medical attention for them. Somebody has delivered a knockout punch over there, and they've stretched one person out in the seats. Cleveland is in punt formation, and again, the Browns fans are booing lightly. Cockcroft standing at the 50. Glenn Edwards comes forward, and Cockcroft angles for the coffin corner, near side of the field. He kicks it out of bounds on the near side in the end zone. The official standing on the thing, I swore, in looking at him, that he was almost going to mark it at the half-yard line, and he gave a big sweeping motion and said it got inside the flag. Myron, that's a little too close for comfort.
Couldn't be any closer, I'll tell you, Jack. Well, the Steeler defense has done well this afternoon because the Browns offense has had several breaks that they've been unable to take advantage of. So now the Steelers take over at their own 20-yard line. Hanratty, the quarterback.
Harry Hanratty sends Buchel in motion to the left, gives the ball to Franco, and he's nailed short of the line of scrimmage. John Garlington changed that to Bob Babbage at the 18-yard line. 2-yard loss on the play. 2nd down and 12 yards to go. Steelers offense meeting a little stiffer resistance now from the Cleveland Browns. Just behind where the Steelers are operating, they're moving right to left. They're at the sunny end of the field. Up in that end zone high, the Cleveland police are in abundance, trying to quell the disturbance in the crowd. Nothing like a Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. Terry Hanratty. That handoff carried up the middle by Franco Harris, fights his way over the 20 to the 22-yard line, runs into Jerry Shirk and Mike Seifert, and he is down at the 21.5-yard line. It is going to be 3rd down and 8 yards to go.
And I suppose that Terry Hanratty will go to the air this time. The Steelers, they've slacked off a little, and they would like to get something going so they can regain the upper hand.
Well, the police have gone out of the stands, and now they're starting to fight again. I can't believe it. More interesting than the game. Here's Hanratty taking a handoff, now firing to the left flat, and it is incomplete. Bouncing in front of Frenchie Fuqua. From high up here on the rooftop, I could not tell you whether that came off Fuqua's knee or hit the turf in front of him, but it bounced away from him. And Pittsburgh will be forced to give up the football. Tom Darden and Greg Pruitt are deep for the Browns, and Bobby Walden will be standing at his own 8-yard line. Darden to the far side of the field and Pruitt to the near side. Walden waits for the football. Here's the snap. He hits the punt. Rather high, wobbly. Pruitt at his own 42 takes it and is belted down. Flying in there to get him as he took the football, Donnie Shell. And he gave him a good solid lick. They will spot the football at the Cleveland 42. With Pittsburgh leading 10-6, it is 1st and 10 for the Browns.
Yeah, the guy was shell-shocked that time. Donnie Shell likes to hit. That was a kick of 38 yards for Bobby Walden, and the ball again will be put in play at the 42 of Cleveland. The Steelers leading in this ball game 10-6.
The Browns are back to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10. Brian Sipe to McInnes. McInnes running to the left, cutting back off tackle to the 45-yard line, and Andy Russell corralled him. Got a lot of help from Dwight White. And also coming up on the play, Mel Blunt. At the 45-yard line, Cleveland has picked up 3 yards, 2nd down and 7. Hate to keep dwelling on the action in the stands, but as J.D. said, this is the longest fight of the century.
This is going to go on till halftime, I guarantee you. It opens up, and it stops in one place and erupts in another. It's going to go on a whole quarter.
I'm glad we're up here on the roof. Slot left formation. Sipe drops back. He has time. Look out, he's back, and he's hit from behind. The ball goes into the arms of Pittsburgh's Joe Green. Running to the left at the 30, to the 25. Green is down to the 20. Holy mackerel. Jack Lambert hit the quarterback from the blind side. And the ball went into the arms of Joe Green. And Joe Green carries it down to the 19-yard line. Now the ball on the fly, popped out of the quarterback's hands and right into the arms of Joe Green. And did LC make the hit on him?
I think LC gets at least a piece of the credit.
All right, it doesn't matter. We've got the football. It's officially a fumble. Pete Adams and John DeMari made the tackle on Joe Green. That is the 3rd Cleveland fumble, the first one lost by the Browns. At the 19-yard line, Terry Hanratty gives the ball to Frenchie Fuqua. Running to the near side, brought down. He ran out of my view. He ran under this overhang, and that's at the 17-yard line. Mike Seifert and Bob Babbage make the tackle.
Jack, did you see the broken field running by Joe Green? He put the slip on 78. Bob McKay a tackle. He gave him the razzle-dazzle, the zig and the zag. He held the ball out in front of him like a halfback. Ooh-wee.
2nd down and 7 yards to go. Slot left formation. Shanklin is in the slot. The running backs are set wide. Hanratty to Franco through the middle, and there to meet him, John Garlington. Closed it up very quickly along with Bob Babbage. And he's over the 15 and down to the 14-yard line. It looked like a big hole opening, but it closed rather quickly. It will be 3rd down and 5. The ball at the Cleveland 14-yard line. Pittsburgh leading 10-6. 4 minutes and 33 seconds to play in the first half. The clock is turning. Sellout crowd at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. And it is a vibrant crowd this afternoon in this long rivalry between the Browns and the Steelers. Hanratty throwing near side for Lewis. Lewis takes it in the end zone, but it's knocked away from him. Coming over his back to break it up, Van Green. And rode Frank Lewis to the sideline. Green, the 2nd-year man from Shaw, will get credit for the defensive play.
Well, Frank Lewis really should have had the ball. He just couldn't hang on to it. He was clearly in bounds. He had room, and Chuck Knoll indicated to me before the ball game on his pregame show that they would work on Van Green. They would test him, and they did that time, but Frankie Lewis couldn't hang on to the football.
Girella is on. Try one from the 22-yard line. A 32-yard attempt. Girella made a 32-yarder earlier. This one is also good. Girella hits the field goal. The Pittsburgh Steelers lead 13-6. Steelers football continues after this brief timeout.
Yeah, the Steelers out in front now, 13-6 following that Girella field goal. I cannot get over the way Joe Green hot-dogged it, running with that recovered fumble. The fumble he picked off in midair, holding the ball out like a scat back, looking to lateral even to somebody if he could find someone, putting a big fake on Bob McKay, an offensive tackle. Great work, Jack.
Girella kicks off right to left. Pruitt and LaFleur are deep. Shorter, high, and LaFleur takes it at the 9. The 15, the 20, the 25, the 30. Cuts to the sideline, caught and brought down at the 35-yard line. Coming across to nail him was Jim Allen, the rookie from UCLA. So Allen makes the kill on LaFleur, brings him down at the 35, and with 4 minutes to play in the second quarter, the Browns have a 1st and 10. And they're moving left to right here at Municipal Stadium. Cleveland Browns pretty much out of the race in the Central Division and hoping to play spoiler here this afternoon. Thus far, it's a tight ball game, 13-6. In the I formation, Brian Sipe is the quarterback. Here's Sipe to Pruitt from the top of the I. Missed at the line of scrimmage. Moves forward just short of the 40-yard line. He got by Ernie Holmes. He got by Joe Green. He was nailed at the 40 by L.C. Greenwood. So he picks up just short of 5 yards on the play. And once again, Old Arrowhead almost had his man at the line of scrimmage, but may have just overplayed him a little bit, and he slipped away from his arm, got by Green, and came on up just short of the 40-yard line. It is 2nd down and a long 5. They send Steve Holden out to the right. Tim George is split about 3 yards to the left. And Sipe throws complete to the 44-yard line. The ball pulled in by Milt Morin. He's up to the 50-yard line with Jack Ham making the stop. Morin again the target. When the halftime stats have been issued, you'll find that Morin has done a good job in receiving this afternoon for Cleveland, as he usually does against the Steelers. That is the 6th first down for the Brownies. They have thrown 13 passes, completed 7 of them, and they now have the football almost to the 50-yard line. The clock is turning. 2 minutes and 58 seconds to play in the first half. Ernie Holmes goes off the field. So Pittsburgh has come on with a 4th linebacker. Make a change there. Steve Furness has come in to the defensive line. So they just made a switch in that line. Here's the handoff to McInnes, and McInnes is upended, running to the left, and he's going to lose maybe a yard on the play as the tackle is made by Andy Russell.
Nice play by Andy Russell, too. I'll tell you, he moved up through the gap. There he had that play read beautifully. He was on McInnes before, well, practically the moment McInnes was given the football. So the Browns lose a little yardage. They're 2nd and 11 at their own 48.5-yard line.
Here is Brian Sipe rolling right, looking, throwing to the near side, and the ball is caught on a diving catch at the Pittsburgh 37 by Steve Holden. Well out in front of Mike Wagner, who came up to cover on the play. So again, the Browns have moved into Pittsburgh territory, and they are marking the football at the 37.5-yard line. Cleveland has picked up first down number 7. And Sipe has now completed 8 out of 14 passes. Down in the field, a timeout. With a break in the action, we'll be right back.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
Shopping the Basco way is enjoying fabulous everyday savings on brand name merchandise you trust, like Polaroid's famous Square Shooter 2 camera with electric eye and electronic shutter that sets your exposure automatically. It uses Polaroid's inexpensive Square color film, and the built-in flash takes the inexpensive flash cubes. It even tells you when all 4 flashes are used. The manufacturer's list price is $24.95, but Basco's everyday low price is $18.77. Thousands save every day shopping the Basco way. And remember to register for free Steeler tickets. Basco Catalog Showrooms, Route 22, Monroeville, and at the Whitehall Terrace Shopping Center.
Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way. Shop in the Basco way.
A minute and 56 seconds remaining in the second quarter. The Browns trailing 13-6. They're at the Steelers' 32.5-yard line. They've got plenty of time to score to get into the end zone, so let's see what happens. First down and 10 at the 32.5.
Brian Sipe is the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Close slot on the left side in Pittsburgh territory at the 37-yard line. Sipe takes, fakes, drops back, throws downfield. Look out. There goes Paul with the ball at the 10. He's pulled down at the 5-yard line. Bill Morin makes the reception. Tackled by J.T. Thomas. And Morin has been prime target number 1 this afternoon. The great tight end from Massachusetts. 9-year veteran. He is eating us alive on the reception. 15th pass by Sipe. That is the 9th completed. And unless I'm wrong, Morin has caught 5.
And it's a 27-yard gain for the Browns. He got behind J.T. Thomas, clearly behind the cornerback.
All right, Cleveland now at the Pittsburgh 5-yard line. First down and goal to go. Tight offensive formation. 2 tight ends in there. Here is Sipe giving the ball to Pruitt, running to the right. He's going to be trapped and chased out of bounds back at the 10-yard line. Pruitt running to the right, could not make a turn. Tracked down by L.C. Greenwood and J.T. Thomas. Chased out of bounds on the near side of the field at the 10-yard line. A 5-yard loss on the play. Now they bring Ken Brown onto the field. He's going to replace Greg Pruitt. Pruitt has had his jersey disassembled. And he needs an equipment change. The tearaway is coming off. Cleveland ready to go. Second down and 10 for a touchdown. Take by Sipe. He's back and throwing. Down the middle. Intercepted in the end zone. J.T. Thomas takes it back. They beat J.T. on the pass earlier. And that time on the pass intended for Jim Thaxton. J.T. maneuvered in for the interception. The Steelers' first interception of a Cleveland pass this afternoon. And for J.T., his 3rd of the campaign.
And a mistake by a young quarterback trying to force the pass. The guy Thaxton was double covered in the end zone by Blunt and J.T. Thomas. It was an easy interception for Thomas.
Steelers' 18th interception of the season. Terry Hanratty quarterbacking at his own 20. Gives the ball to Franco. Slips over the right side of the line to the 25 and on out to the 27-yard line. Charlie Hall and Walt Sumner bring him down. Winds up very close to the 28-yard line. Gain of 8 yards, second down and 2. The clock turns with 49 seconds to play in the first half. Pittsburgh leading 13-6.
And they've now had 2 big breaks. The Joe Green fumble recovery and that interception by J.T.
Shifting Fuqua from the top of the eye to the left side. Hanratty gives the ball to Franco to the left, cutting back up to the 30, onto the 31. He has a first down before Walter Johnson and Charlie Hall bring him down to the natural turf. Clock turning, 22 seconds. Pittsburgh will be content apparently at this point to run it out. Steelers will get possession of the football on a kickoff at the start of the 3rd quarter, inasmuch as they kicked off at the opening of the ball game. So right now, nothing daring would be planned by the Pittsburgh club. They're coming out to line up. The clock is going to run out of time, I believe, before they get there. As Ray Mansfield finally goes over the football, the clock sounds the end of the first half, and the score here at Municipal Stadium is Pittsburgh 13, Cleveland 6. Today's quarter was brought to you by Basco Catalog Showroom.
halftime at Cleveland Stadium, actually getting ready for the second half. The Steelers holding a 13-6 lead on the Cleveland Browns.
Here's the kickoff now with Gardner coming forward and booting it short this time, bouncing around at the 20, and it is scooped up. Back over the 25-yard line. Allen with the ball. He has fumbled the football. And Cleveland has recovered again. John Garlington hit him. John Garlington recovers the football. At the Pittsburgh 27, the Cleveland Browns have come up with two big turnovers.
Yes, Jimmy Allen picking up the football and then getting hit as he cut over to his right and up the middle, hit and fumbled the ball. Ball squirted out of his hands, and suddenly Cleveland has control of this ball game. It's tied up 13-13. They're on the move again.
Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh 27-yard line. Pittsburgh defense stunning. Brian Sipe gives the handoff to Greg Pruitt. He tries it up the middle, and he gets a couple of yards, and that's all. He meets a stone wall in the Pittsburgh defense. Anchored in there by 275-pound Joe Green out of North Texas State. And they spot it at the 26-yard line. It's a gain of just a yard. Second down and 9.
The Steelers now with a total of 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and 2 fumbles lost. Ouch.
13-13 ball game. At the 26, second down, a short 9. Sipe drops back, fakes as he goes. He's deep. Screen pass, right side throw with the ball. Cuts outside to the 25, the 20, flag down on the play. He's knocked down at the 19-yard line. Greg Pruitt, the runner. Hit by Mike Wagner and goes down, and now let's see what the ruling will be. With the penalty marker down on the field near the 15-yard line. Getting the ruling, pass interference. Offensive against the Cleveland Browns. We've only played 2.5 minutes, and this has been a bizarre stretch of football.
It's wild and woolly, I'll tell you. Incidentally, the field today, of course, it is a beautiful day, but it looks in pretty good shape compared to what we're used to seeing here at Cleveland Stadium anyhow. A few years ago, they changed to Marion blue grass, and it digs in deeper than the grass they had before, makes a fairly decent field. So they bring the football back to the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. The Browns now facing second down and about the 23.
Somebody told these two clubs at halftime, people in the stands are putting on a better show than you guys, and now in 2.5 minutes, they're showing us some kind of wild football. Sipe, second and 23 at the 40. He drops back to throw, has time, fires, open man at the 35. Sullivan pulls it in, goes to the 30. He's lost the football. Pittsburgh has recovered it. Sullivan caught the pass, lost the football as he went down, and it was picked off by Lauren Taves. Andy Russell hit the receiver. He and Lambert lost the football. Taves recovers for the Steelers. Now that will be the 4th turnover against the Browns. 2 fumble recoveries and 2 pass interceptions. Lauren Taves made the recovery. 1st and 10 at the Pittsburgh 29 in a tie ball game, 13-13. Typical of what you'd expect between these two clubs, particularly here in Cleveland. And ready, throwing to the sideline, overthrows Shanklin. Ball caught by Steve Furness. He is not in the ball game. On top of that, he's an ineligible receiver. He's in the sideline area, caught it. Incomplete.
Looked good.
What?
He looked good on the play.
All he had to do was stand there and catch it. I could have caught it. Clarence Scott covering. Second down and 10 yards to go. Now the Pittsburgh fans are chanting, we want what? We want Bradshaw. Hanratty calling the signals. Terry H. gives it off to the freshman. Coming off the left side on a slant, he makes about 3 yards. They give him 4 to the 33-yard line. Bob Babbage, middle linebacker from Miami of Ohio. on the stop. 4-yard gain. It's going to be 3rd down and 6.
Kind of nice blocking by Franco Harris, who took John Garlington, the linebacker, to the sideline, enabling the Frenchman to cut up field and make some yardage. Not much, but a little.
Pittsburgh lines up, setting a flanker to the right, a split end to the left, and Hanratty is deep and throwing under pressure. Wobbly, almost intercepted at the Cleveland 40, trying to hit Frank Lewis. Hanratty was decked on the play. Tom Darden came over, tried for the interception. Great rush. Walter Johnson, Jerry Shirk, Nick Roman, forcing Hanratty to fire under pressure. And now Bobby Walden will punt the football for Pittsburgh. Darden and LaFleur are deep for Cleveland. The punt will carry right to left as we view the ball game for you. Walden standing at his own 20-yard line. Here's the snap. And Walden gets the punt away. And backing up to take it is Tom Darden. Running to his right, the 25. And nailed along the 27-yard line. He had to run under the outstretched arm of one of his own men, Alan Aldridge, and then was nailed by Steve Davis at the Cleveland 27-yard line. There's a break in the action. We'll be right back.
In today's...
Okay, we've got 11 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in the third period. The ball game tied 7-7. The Browns at their own 27-yard line. I do believe they will now rest Greg Pruitt for a while. I'm not sure. Is he in the backfield?
He just went to the dressing room down below with one of the trainers. So he could have been shaken up. They put a man in the slot on the left side, Steve Holden. Sipe on the long count at his own 27. Gives the ball to McInnes. Comes off the left side of the 30, the 35, and forward to almost to the 37-yard line. Jack Lambert down low and Mike Wagner up high on him. They put the ball back to the 36, leaving them a yard short of a first down. It's going to be 2nd down and 1 yard to go. Cleveland and Pittsburgh are tied at 13-13. 10:58 to play in the third quarter. Cleveland has the football. Bob DeMarco will snap. Brian Sipe, the quarterback, drops back, now fires for the ball, and it's going to be intercepted. Taken by J.T. Thomas at the 25-yard line. Steve Holden, the intended receiver. Sipe threw it poorly. Threw it inside the intended receiver. And it was picked off by J.T. Thomas. You could see that one coming, and J.T. gets his 2nd interception of the afternoon, and that will be his 4th of the season. The 3rd time that the Browns have given up an interception. And, Myron, you were right. We had only one fumble. We had not scratched off the one that Joe Green took, which was ruled an interception. So they have lost it once on a fumble, 3 times on interceptions. At the 26, it is 1st and 10. Hanratty gives the ball to Franco. Cutting into the middle of the line, he'll lean forward for about a yard. Give him 2 yards on the play. Jerry Shirk and Bob Babich combine on the tackle, and the ball is spotted at the 28-yard line, 2nd down 8.
Jack, I think it's fair to say that Brian Sipe is trying to work on J.T. Thomas today, but J.T. has come up with 2 interceptions. That time he tried to look him off, setting up as if to throw left, then throwing right. J.T. was never fooled.
Steelers now have 20 interceptions on the year. Here's Hanratty in the draw, giving the ball to Steve Davis, who slipped into the lineup, coming off to the left of the 35, the 40, the 45, and he brings it up to the 50-yard line. Tom Darden makes the tackle. So Steve Davis inserted into the lineup for the first time this afternoon as a running back. Breaks off the left side on the delayed handoff. And he comes to the 50-yard line, and Pittsburgh gets its 6th first down. The first one of the second half. A 22-yard gain for the Steelers. Over the football goes the veteran Ray Mansfield. Terry Hanratty steps under center. Cleveland pulls 2 backers up tight. Here's a busted play, and Hanratty falls on the football. He's trying to hand off to Franco. No, he doesn't hold it. Cleveland comes up with it. Hanratty could not hold on to it. It was wrested away from Terry Hanratty and taken by Walt Sumner, and the Browns have it back at the 44-yard line.
Yes, Terry Hanratty and Franco collided on the kickoff. It seems to me there was a collision here once before, last year, I believe, on a similar play. And the ball was lost. Hanratty fell on it. Then somehow it squirted away from Hanratty, and Sumner got the football. The Browns have a first down at the Steeler 44-yard line.
Okay, now, we've got Cleveland with the football. Sight gives it to McInnes, and he is nailed at the 45-yard line. Leans back to the 44 as Ernie Holmes, old Arrowhead, zeroed in on him and gave him a good, strong tackle. No gain on the play. And it's going to be second down and 10 yards to go.
6 turnovers for the Steelers today. How do you like that? Well, you don't like it at all, sure.
Sipe on 2nd and 10. Rolling right. Throwing. Complete to the 41-yard line to Milt Morin. And he is belted out of bounds at the 42 as he gave ground, and Jack Camp slammed him out of bounds on the near side of the field. A short gainer. They'll pick up about 3 yards, 2.5 yards on the play, and it leaves them a 3rd down and 7. I have them with 22 passes tried, 12 completed, and 3 intercepted on the afternoon. A game loaded with turnovers. A game loaded with unusual plays. Bo Scott replaces Ken Brown in the backfield for the first time. They put a man in the slot on the right side. McInnes. Here's Sipe throwing. Open man, wide open to pull it in on the far side of the field at the 5. Dave Sullivan went out of bounds at the 5-yard line. As his momentum carried him, he got beyond Andy Russell. He was wide open at the far side of the field, and his running momentum made it impossible for him to stay in bounds. He was in the clear, but he stepped out of bounds at the 5, and the Browns are in scoring position.
A 37-yard gain on that play. Yes, no question. Sullivan could have walked into the end zone for a touchdown. His momentum carried him out, I guess, or he didn't know where the sideline was, but it was an easy catch. It was just like playing catch with your kid, because he was a good 5 yards, I think, behind Andy Russell on that play.
2 tight ends, Saxton and Morin. Flanker holding on the right side. And the give is to McInnes coming off left tackle down to around the 2.5-yard line. Hugh McInnes, stopped by Jack Lambert and Glenn Edwards. And the Cleveland Browns have moved the football to the 2.5-yard line, where it will be second down and goal to go. Ken Brown returning to the field, replacing Billy LaFleur. So they've used every one of their running backs this afternoon. 6 of them. Right now, Brown and McInnes are in the ball game. Tight formation. Saxton and Morin are the tight ends. Here's a rollout. Sipe with the ball. Trapp cuts forward and is nailed at the 2-yard line. Running to the left. Trapp came forward, and Ernie Holmes and Jack Lambert stopped him at the 2-yard line. To the Cleveland Browns. Down deep, finding it hard to move. We're going to pause now for station identification.
This is Chuck Brinkman, and here's your invitation to join me every day, 9 to noon, for the greatest hits of all time.
WTAE, AM and FM, Pittsburgh.
Cleveland comes out of the huddle. Dyken, Adams, DeMarco, Damari, and McKay are the interior linemen. 2 tight ends, Saxton and Morin. Flanker set close on the left side out of the I formation. Now they bring the flanker in motion to the right, and the pitch back is given to Billy LaFleur running to the right side, and LaFleur is short of the end zone. LaFleur nailed by Wagner and Greenwood. Joe Green comes out of the play, and now they bring on Cockcroft, and the crowd is booing.
Well, it's a smart play to kick the field goal. I do want to say that J.T. Thomas came up that time from his cornerback position, and though he did not make the tackle, he knocked down the blocking, and without him having done that, the play probably would have been a touchdown.
Cockcroft has kicked 2 this afternoon. A 44-yarder and a 36-yarder. And with Mike Phipps holding at the 8-yard line, this is an 18-yard attempt. Ball is down. Cockcroft kicks. Cleveland has taken the lead. 16-13. Steeler football continues after this brief timeout.
You look forward to different things during the holidays in different parts of the country. Maybe it's the picture postcard brightness of country towns wreathed in the clear white of winter. Maybe it's the sun shining down. Warm is the feeling within us all. HFC wants you to enjoy the holidays. So if we can help out, just call Household Finance, an equal opportunity lender.
Well, the Browns take the lead 16-13. And hey, here's a reminder that Pirate season tickets for 1975 are now on sale for as little as $52.50. They make great Christmas gifts. Yes, the Browns out in front now on that 18-yard field goal by Don Cockcroft. And Chaz Knoll so far has stuck with Terry Hanratty, though his statistics are 2 completions in 13 attempts and 3 interceptions. So I imagine right now that you out there in the audience are getting a little patient for a little impatient for someone to come off the bench like Bradshaw or Gillum. It's the same old story, seems, week after week. But let's see what happens. Jack?
Chris Gardner is going to kick off. The rookie from Indiana kicking left to right, and Gardner kicks it very high and long. Mel Blunt at the 2. Straight ahead to the 5, the 10, the 15, the 20, the 25, the 30. Breaks out, comes to the 35, cuts the outside, the 40, the 45, the 50. The Cleveland 45 and out of bounds at the Cleveland 38-yard line. Driven out by Clarence Scott on the near side of the field. Mel Blunt returning that one 60 yards.
And this is the same place 3 years ago where Mel Blunt returned a kickoff 91 yards to be dragged down inside the Cleveland 10.
So, the ball is back at the Cleveland 38-yard line, and we've seen beaucoup action here in the third quarter. How do you like my Spanish? First down 10. Terry Hanratty lines them up in the I formation. Hanratty gives to Steve Davis, the tailback, running to the left, the 35, and brought down at the Cleveland 32. John Garlington made the tackle. Davis coming off the left side will pick up almost 6 yards. Second down and, second down and 4. He does get 6 yards. Looking down from the crow's nest up here to size up the situation. Second and 4. Shanklin to the right. Lewis to the left. Davis shifts off the top of the I to the right side. Hanratty, the quarterback, looks to the 4-man front, gives the ball to Davis, running to the left, gets the block from Franco, and coming outside, crosses the 30, and goes down short of the 28-yard line. I do believe he will miss the first down by a little bit. Seifert, Garlington, and Babbage team up on the stop. Third down and a yard.
Good, strong, fast running by Steve on that play. On the previous play, he had a chance to gain big yardage, but I think as he headed through the hole, he turned on the speed just an instant too late, and Garlington stopped him. But this time, he ran hard for the short yardage.
All right, we have 2 tight ends in there. Randy Grossman and Larry Brown, the flanker set to the right side. And Steve Davis steps forward, and illegal motion will be called on the Steelers. Davis coming in motion to the left. Step forward. That's illegal. The Browns immediately move, and we will be penalized 5 yards. What's the delay? One of the Browns has the football. Now the official gets it. He's going to mark off 5 against the Steelers. Total of 25 yards on the afternoon, all of them 5-yard assessments. Larry Brown is out and Randy Grossman is in. It is third down now and 6. Shanklin is back. Lewis wide left. Shanklin flanking right. Davis and Harris are the running backs. Hanratty drops back. The rush is on. Now he throws and a reach by Randy Grossman. Unsuccessful at the 23. Came down and all the way across to the near side. Covered by Walt Sumner, the 6-year veteran from Florida State. And it was off the fingertips of Randy Grossman, incomplete.
Thrown just a little too far ahead of Randy. Had he made the catch, it would have been sensational. That penalty when Steve Davis went off on the wrong count really hurt because it added another 5 yards to the field goal attempt, which I believe is what we are now going to see.
Girella will have to kick this one 51 or maybe 52 yards. It's going to be from the 42-yard line. 52-yard attempt through the end zone. Wind is against him if it's anywhere. Ball is down. Walden holding it. It's blocked. Ball is loose. Down on the turf. Picked up by a Steeler. Officials step over to mark the spot. Lambert with the ball. Now Lambert's getting ready to mix it up with one of the Browns. The action is going good down on the field. 2 ball clubs run in and join. Officials are in the middle of it. Ball is dead where Lambert picked it up. Down at the Browns' 15-yard line. And the Browns will take over. Now let's see. Got another ruling. They're bringing one of the Browns back up to the previous spot. That's right. There's your rule, Myron. The new rule. It goes back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Right. Lambert
Let me stop for a minute there. Back to the 34, the previous spot. First down, 10. Holy smokes. Running with the football is Billy LaFleur. Lost his balance and then kept it beautifully. Running in almost a lean forward position. Picks up almost 5 yards when he appeared to be stopped for a loss. Andy Russell makes the tackle. Pittsburgh Steelers, who lead the NFL in sacks, have not sacked Sipe once this afternoon.
No,
Not the
Sipe
first
has
time.
had great protection from his front line today. Just great protection.
Houston leading Cincinnati 7-3 in the second quarter of that ball game. Sipe is ready to go at his own 38-yard line. And Sipe gives it to McGinnis. He comes off the left side slanting over the 40 up to the 41-yard line. And the tackle made by Jack Lambert, aided by Andy Russell on the play at the 42-yard line. And it will be 3rd and 2. Jim Thaxton and Milt Bourne are both in the ball game as tight ends. Dave Sullivan comes off. Miami leading Buffalo 14-0 in the third. The Jets over New England 14-3 in the third. What do you think about that? St. Louis leading Philly 7-0 in the third. 3rd and 2. Tight formation Cleveland. Sipe gives the ball to McGinnis, and he finds his way up the middle over the 45 and onto the 46 for the first down. Hugh McGinnis out of Arizona State picks up the first down, and Jack Lambert makes the tackle. Cleveland leading in the ball game 16-13. Now with a 1st and 10 at its own 46-yard line.
Well, at least the scoreboard's given us some help because we see that Houston still leads Cincinnati 7-3. That's the second period score. I don't know if it's a halftime score or not.
Dave Sullivan is back in, replacing Jim Thaxton. Cleveland ready to go, 1st and 10 at its own 46. Sipe takes. He's back and looking. Firing to the sideline and overthrows his target, Dave Sullivan. Sullivan goes out of bounds at the 42, ridden out by Mike Wagner. But the pass carried into the Pittsburgh bench area, incomplete.
I can't get over how effectively the Cleveland offensive line is holding out the Steeler front four. They're doing a great job on them, and this, remember, was an offensive line that early in the year was so porous that every time you looked up, the Cleveland quarterback was on his back. But they are really giving Brian Sipe a wall today.
Cleveland back at the line of scrimmage. Sipe sets them up in the eye, and they shift out of the eye. The running backs are LaFleur and McInnes. LaFleur on the long count, or rather, Sipe on the long count, takes the snap. Pittsburgh was offside, gives it to McInnes. He shoots through the left side of the line and gets maybe a yard. Ernie Holmes pulled off by that long count. And now we've got an offside call against Pittsburgh, and Cleveland picks up a cool 5 yards. It's going to be second down and 5 yards to go. J.D. points out that on many of these passing situations, they're holding their backs in there rather than sending them downfield and giving him added protection. This could be the major factor in Pittsburgh's rush being stopped and Sipe being protected, given lots of time to throw. You've seldom even seen him in a panic situation. 5-yard gain. Moves the football to the Pittsburgh 49. And the Browns in this third quarter have had most everything going for them. Not everything, but most everything. Brian Sipe calling the signals. Handoff given to LaFleur, and he is nailed. Slanting into the middle, Ernie Holmes is there. Gets him at the 50, falls forward to the 49-yard line once again. So there's going to be no gain, a slight loss, about a half yard on the play. So we'll call it third down, 5.5, and here is Lauren Taves coming in as a fourth linebacker.
I thought for a moment that Joe Green might have been offside there, but there was no call, so I suppose he got back in time.
He's off. Ernie Holmes waits and trots off the field. Cleveland lines up on third, 5.5. Man in the slot on the right side, and Sipe is back. Hey, he's hit from behind. The ball fumbled and recovered by the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a matter of fact, it is picked up off the ground by L.C. Greenwood, but it was whistled dead before. Now, the quarterback was hit by Andy Russell from the blind side, and the ball knocked away from him, and that will be Cleveland's fourth fumble, its second loss. And Pittsburgh is back in business at the Cleveland 45. Now, if we're going to do it this afternoon, we better get started right now.
I'll tell you, the Browns now with 5 turnovers, the Steelers with 6. The Browns are catching up.
First down, 10 at the Cleveland 45. Slot left Pittsburgh, I formation. And Ratty fakes to the inside back, gives to Steve Davis, running to the right, stiff arms the tackler, cuts down the sideline, and he's out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Garlington got him after he'd stiff-armed Charlie Hall, knocked him down to the turf. Tom Darden helped out, cornering him, made his cut down the sideline, ran out of running room, and goes out of bounds at the Cleveland 39-yard line. Pick up 5 yards, strong 5, and it will be second down and short 5 to go in Cleveland territory at the 39. We trail this ball game 16-13, a dogfight.
Great blocking on that play by Jim Clack. Great blocking.
5-man front for Cleveland. Davis shifts off the eye to the left side. And Ratty gives it to Franco. Big hole over the left side, down over the 35, the 30, the 25, and on to the 23-yard line. Babbage and Sumner bring him down. John Kolb, Sam Davis, and Ray Mansfield working in concert to open up the left side of the line for Franco. And the big guy is having some kind of an afternoon running. And that time he could have taken a truck through with him. The ball is at the Cleveland 23-yard line. Pittsburgh 7th first down. 13 carries, 114 yards for Franco Harris. Hanratty sets them on 1st and 10, gives it to Franco. Another slant through the middle. Down over the 20 to the 19-yard line. A gain of nearly 5 yards again before he runs into Charlie Hall, Bob Babbage, and Tom Darden. And the ball is going to be marked at the 18.5-yard line. A gain of 5, second down and 5.
Strong linebacking by Charlie Hall because Franco really barreled into him. Franco was underway. He drove headfirst right into him on the numbers, but Hall held his ground.
38 seconds on a turning clock. We're in the third quarter, and we're trailing by 3. Split end left, Lewis. Flanker right, Shanklin. I formation. Hanratty gives to the inside back, Franco. Slants off the right side. Loses the football as he goes down at the 14 and keeps it. I don't know whether we'd call that a fumble or not, whether it was dead. I believe he was on the ground. But you saw him reach out for it and pull it in. They set the ball back to the 15-yard line, and we're about 1.5 yards short of a first down. Third and 1.5 yards to make.
Well, let's be charitable and not call it Franco's third fumble of the day, but I'm doggone glad he was able to reach out and get the ball.
We have come to the end of the third quarter of this afternoon's game at Cleveland. The score, the Cleveland Browns 16, the Pittsburgh Steelers 13.
The third quarter of today's game was presented in part by Union Carbide Ever-Ready Batteries and by Master Engineers Corporation. Now, this fourth quarter of Steelers 74 is brought to you by Pittsburgh National Bank. Well, the Steelers with third and about 1 yard to go at the Cleveland 15-yard line. They trail 16-13, so these are critical plays, every one of them now coming up. Chesnell has stuck with Terry Hanratty throughout this ball game, despite the fact that his statistics are, well, he's only 2 for 14. He's thrown 3 interceptions. The Steelers have also given up the ball 3 times on fumbles. So it has been some kind of an afternoon, I'll tell you. Do we have more fights over there in the end zone? Don't know, but it looks like some commotion.
I'm looking at the score trying to see what the Bears are doing. I can't read the scoreboard. The ends are tight, the flanker to the right. Pittsburgh now moving left to right in the fourth quarter. Franco takes the handoff, hits into the left side, and I believe he has the first down. At about the 12.5-yard line. Tackle made by Bob Babbage. He plays some kind of a football game. Now, where are they going to set the football down? It is a first down at the 12.5-yard line.
And, Jack, though Hanratty's statistics are terrible today, he's running this ground attack very nicely here.
Randy Grossman at tight end for the Steelers. A line to the right with the flanker in the same direction, a split end to the left. Hanratty calling the signals from the 12.5-yard line. Hanratty gives it to Franco, and trying to run off the weak side, gets only about 1 yard. Down to the 11-yard line, Van Green makes the stop. Again, Babbage comes out of the play, 1.5 yard pickup. It looks like San Francisco 6, Chicago nothing in the second. But it might be San Francisco 6, Chicago 11. Scoreboard is rather difficult to read in the sun. It's an old-timer. That was an upset I picked. Keep watch on it. Here's the give. Steve Davis driving left to right, and he's down to the 7-yard line. A crossbuck through the middle with Charlie Hall and Walt Sumner meeting him. And they're going to give him the 6-yard line, where it is going to be third down, 3.5 yards to go. 3.5 big yards at this point. I'd like to get him.
Yeah, Steve saw a good daylight there. I thought for a minute he might go at least for the first down, but the secondary came up to meet him.
Frank Lewis to the far side. Shanklin flanks near side. Franco and Davis to the running back. Hanratty calling the signals. Cleveland poised on defense. Hanratty backs up. He's going to throw into the end zone, and he overthrows Frank Lewis down and across at the end line. Lewis covered by Van Green. Out beyond Walt Sumner, but the pass carried too high over the end line, out of play. I don't know, Myron. I've got Terry 2 for 15, one for a touchdown, and 3 interceptions.
Right, that's exactly right.
One of those carried back for a touchdown. Bobby Walden holding at the 13, and Girella will try for another one. A 23-yard attempt by Roy Girella. Snap of the football. Girella kicks it. It is good. Girella has tied up the football game. There's a break in the action. We'll be right back.
Okay, the Steelers tied up now, 16-16. The score on the board is still the Bengals behind the Houston Oilers, 7-3. They trail. Should, of course, the Bengals come back and win, should the Steelers go in extra overtime and still end up with a tie, they would have a first-place tie with the Bengals. There's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, there's one on the other side cooking. Joe Gilliam is warming up. And Roy Girella is kicking off with LaFleur and Brown deep. And here's a bounce inside the 5, back into the end zone. And Cleveland will tap the ball down to the turf. Eddie Brown downs it in the end zone for the automatic touchback. So apparently Chuck Knoll is getting ready to come on with Joe Gilliam, or if you prefer, Joe Gilliam, any way you care to pronounce it. Jefferson Street Joe is warming up his right arm.
It's a kind of a curious strategy. I'm not faulting it, but you would think if he's going with Joe, he's planning on throwing the ball. Yet the Steelers have been moving well on the ground, or did on that last drive at any rate. But I'm through trying to make any sense out of Steeler quarterback situations. I give up. I've had it.
Well, I'm sure that will please Chuck.
Yeah.
To know that you're finally going to get out of it. He hasn't been following your instructions too closely all year, nor mine, nor anyone else's. Here's a busted play, a fumble. Joe Green is picking up the football, laterals it off, and they're going to go for a touchdown. Green did it. Billy LaFleur fumbled the football. Joe Green lateral to J.T. Thomas, and J.T. takes it in on the lateral pass from Joe Green. The big mean from North Texas State kicked off the fumble. Lateral to J.T. Thomas. George Perlis over there hugging Joe Green when he came off the field. That's a lot of band to hug.
Well, Joe, that time when he made that interception, it was more like a fumble. He was looking to lateral when he was broken field running. This time he was able to do it. Joe is a lateral champ.
That is their third fumble. That one results in a touchdown. And the Steelers have retaken the lead immediately. Ball is down. Girella kicks for the point after. It is good. Pittsburgh 23. The Cleveland Browns 16. Some kind of a football game.
I'll tell you, the play was a busted play, you might say. It was not run smoothly. Sipe trying to hand the ball off to LaFleur. LaFleur drops the ball. Joe comes in. He's rushing hard. He picks the ball up, I do believe, on one bounce. We don't have the benefit of instant replay here, but scooped it right up on the bounce, headed off to his left, was swarmed over, but turned around just as the tacklers closed in on him, turned around, flipped a short lateral of maybe a yard or two, I don't know, to J.T. Thomas, who headed for the left corner, the far corner of the end zone. Nobody was going to get him. J.T. today has 2 interceptions. He has now scored a touchdown on a lateral, and Joe Green is, as I said, the lateral champ. And I tell you, I don't think those coaches like laterals.
LaFleur and Brown are deep. Ball bouncing inside the 10. Chased down at the 1-yard line by Eddie Brown. Up over the 5, the 10, the 15, and he is thrown out of bounds on the far side of the field by Marv Kellum. Man, they are kicking that ball into the corners. The Cleveland Brown is shaken up on the play. I believe it's the first player of the afternoon who's needed attention out on the field. Mel Long is down. And the trainer goes over to check him. So we have a timeout down there with Cleveland ready to put the ball in play at its own 17-yard line.
And this development on the kickoff is a good one, of course, for the Steelers, because it keeps the momentum with them. The Browns having messed up the return. The kickoff return man not being able to decide whether he wanted to pick it up or let it go in the end zone. By the time he had to make a decision, he was clear back up against the goal line. Then he runs it out. He gets to the 17-yard line, but that's not good field position. So the Steelers, having just scored a wild and woolly touchdown, now come up with a defensive play on the kickoff, and that's just the way we like to see things going for them. Oh, it's a nice time for enjoying this beautiful day on Lake Erie. The lake looks prettier than ever, but J.T. says, Mr. Fogarty says to me, don't start that now, because anything happens up here, and it's true. You can lose a ball game here more ways than you can count.
We have not beaten this team in Cleveland since a Saturday night in 1964 when John Henry Johnson ran them out of this stadium. 10 years.
12 minutes and 24 seconds left to play. Oh, we're going to see lots more action, I guarantee you.
Cleveland coming out of the huddle at its own 17-yard line. Brian Sipe sets his club. Hands off to McInnes. Off the right side to the 20, and he is tackled. Crowd of people ready and waiting. Joe Green, Jack Lambert in on the play, and up in the secondary was Glenn Edwards, the free safety. They advanced the ball 3 yards, second down, 7.
Hey, Jack, on that Steeler touchdown play there that resulted from the fumble, the Browns caught up with the Steelers. Yeah, they're deadlocked at 6 turnovers apiece.
And each team has given up a turnover for a touchdown. Cleveland got one on a pass interception, the Steelers on the fumble. Brian Sipe, the quarterback. Inside handoff to Ken Brown through the middle, breaks up over the 25, comes out to the 26-yard line. And down at the bottom is Mike Wagner, the strong safety, to make the tackle. Cleveland should be about a yard short of a first down. It will be 3rd and 1 yard to go, and here comes Jim Thaxton on as the second tight end, replacing Dave Sullivan. Thaxton and Moore and both in there. Steve Holden will be the flanker back. Running backs are McInnes and Brown. And Greg Pruitt left the action and went back to the dressing room. We have not seen him return. 3rd and 1 for Cleveland. And they stop the play. Holy smokes, the handoff to McInnes, and he is hit solidly by Jack Lambert, the middle linebacker, the rookie from Kent State, and the official is marking it for a first down. They're saying he got it. They're going to measure. It appeared, as you looked at it, that he did not make the line of scrimmage, but they say he did.
Yeah, Jack Splat made a nifty play on him, a real splat play, but it's the point of forward progress that counts, so we'll just have to wait for the measurement here.
First down, Cleveland.
Yep.
That will be a number 11 on the afternoon for the Browns. Clock shows 10:55 to play. Cleveland at its own 27-yard line. The Browns moving right to left. Houston still leading Cincinnati 7-3. Nothing later on that. The Jets still ahead of New England 21-13 now. Miami leading Buffalo 21-7 in the fourth quarter. Slot left formation for the Cleveland Browns. Sipe is back. They're after him. They're going to get a sack. He's trying to break away, and he is nailed finally by Dwight White. Everybody was after him, and Dwight White gets the sack. And that will be his 5.5. How do you say that? He shows 4.5, having shared one, and that makes him 5.5 total on the season, and they're going to spot the ball at the 20-yard line, the first time that Sipe has been sacked this afternoon.
And I'll tell you, Jack, I do believe every man in the Steeler front four took a shot at Sipe that time, got a bump on him, and he was spinning around back there like a guy caught in a revolving door, and Dwight was the last one to come, and he ran smack into Dwight, and down he went.
Lambert is out, and the fifth defensive back, Donnie Shell, comes in. On second down and 17.5. Sipe is deep. Screen pass left side. Pulled in by Ken Brown. Inside the 20 over the 25, the 30. And is pulled out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Near side of the field by Mike Wagner. Shell over quickly to help out on the play. Cleveland has advanced the football to its own 32-yard line, which will bring up the third down play with about 6 yards to go. We'll be back after this pause on the Steelers Football Network.
This is Pittsburgh's #1 sports station with Myron Cope on sports, Pitt football and basketball, plus
the Pittsburgh Steelers, WTAE, AM and FM, Pittsburgh.
Middle Middle linebacker Jack Lambert is back in for Pittsburgh, replacing Donnie Shell. Cleveland, third and around 5. Sipe rolling right. Sipe throwing. And it's almost intercepted at the 45-yard line, intended at the far side of the field for Steve Holden. And Pittsburgh's J.T. Thomas broke it up and almost came up with his third interception of the afternoon on a diving try for the football. Cleveland unofficially with 13 out of 25 completed and 3 interceptions. Don Cockcroft will punt the football for the Cleveland Browns. Dick Kahn and Glenn Edwards are deep for the Steelers. 9:50 to play and Pittsburgh leading 23-16. 49ers leading the Bears 13-0. New Orleans leading L.A. 3-0 in the second. And here's Cockcroft punting. Oh, beauty. And it is taking Edwards back to his own 15. Comes forward over the 20. And a flag is going down behind him as he makes it back to the 24-yard line. They have dropped a flag back at the 13 against the Steelers. Jim Romanishin made the tackle. And they're getting ready to mark one off. Flipping against the Steelers.
I believe Jimmy Allen is the culprit. I'm not certain of that, Jack, but I do believe so. A kick of some 53 yards. Wow, and then the penalty. So the Steelers backed up, and who's at quarterback? It's Joe Gilliam at quarterback.
Joe Gilliam, third-year man from Tennessee State at 6'2", 187 pounds. On the quarterback, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jefferson Street Joe takes over at his own 6-yard line. Not an enviable position. After the mark-off, half the distance to the goal. Hands off to Steve Davis. Davis cross-bucking forward to the 8, maybe the 9-yard line under a pile-up. Stop made by Walter Johnson and Bob Babbage. And a gain of about 3 yards, second down and 7.
And with the clock marching ahead, just a shade over 9 minutes remaining in this ball game. The Steelers ahead 23-16. 7-point lead.
Here is Ron Shanklin to the right. Frank Lewis set out to the left. A shift out of the eye. Running backs are Davis and Harris. Gilliam gives the ball to Steve Davis, or rather to Franco. Franco coming through the middle, cuts to the right. He's out to the 12.5-yard line. Walter Johnson, the 10-year veteran from Cal State, and Walt Sumner, the strong safety, team up on the stop, and they will spot the ball at the 13-yard line, and the situation for Pittsburgh will be third down and 3 yards to go, leading 23-16, and with 8:30 to go in the ball game. We're going to pause for station identification. Gilliam back to throw and tried to hit Frank Lewis on a slant. Missed him. Pass ball's incomplete. The coverage on the play by Van Green and Walt Sumner, and a punt formation is called for. Myron?
Okay, so it's going to be up to the Steeler defense. The Steelers having to kick from bad field position. The Browns return men up at their own 43, 44-yard line, so they're going to get good field position here.
Bobby Walden in punt formation, standing at the goal line. And here's his punt. It's a beauty. Darden and LaFleur back, and the ball goes to Billy LaFleur. Breaks the tackle. Trying to run along the 49-yard line is Dales. And Ed Bradley finally got him. Donnie Shell over there. And Cleveland will take over the football 51 yards away from the goal line. First down 10 with 8:03 remaining.
It was Reggie Garrett who missed the tackle, but he got down there like lightning, and we should point out that that guy last week made the greatest defensive play of the season when he hit Tommy Casanova of the Bengals down around the 10 or 15-yard line, didn't make the tackle, landed on his face, and Casanova took off on a run of 74 yards, and it was, lo and behold, Reggie Garrett who nailed him at the other end of the field. Got up, went down to do it. There's a break in the action, and we'll be right back.
Sipe
Out to the right, firing long. He will overthrow his target. Down at the Pittsburgh 15-yard line, Steve Holden racing down the sideline, covered by J.T. Thomas. And Sipe that time again had time. Threw it too long, and Holden could not get there. The pass falls incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10.
And the Browns still trying to pick on J.T. despite his 2 interceptions today. And that time he was matching Holden step for step, had to play well defense.
On the scoreboard, Miami 21, Buffalo 7 in the 4th. The Jets 21, New England 13 in the 4th. Houston leading Cincinnati 7-3 in the 3rd. St. Louis over Philly 7-3 in the 3rd. Green Bay leading Minnesota 6-0 in the 2nd. New York leading Detroit 13-10 in the 3rd, and New Orleans 3, LA nothing in the 2nd. Cleveland 2nd and 10 at its own 49-yard line. Brian Sipe with a slot right formation. Goes back to pass. Now he throws, and a catch incomplete at the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. Steve Holden down on one knee on a little comebacker. Coming back to the kneeling position, J.T. Thomas to cover. And as Myron has said, they keep throwing into the J.T. Thomas area. Ernie Holmes had a good rush on the quarterback, Brian Sipe, that time. And Sipe is not hitting with the consistency that we saw him hit, particularly in the 3rd period of the ball game.
He is also getting impatient and beginning to throw deeper more.
It is 3rd down and 10 yards to go. Sipe drops back. They're after him, and he runs out of it. He's up over the 50, the 45, down to the 40. He runs to the Pittsburgh 35-yard line. Brought down by Jack Ham and Mike Wagner at the Pittsburgh 35-yard line. So the young quarterback runs out of trouble, heads down the middle, and Cleveland has a 1st down.
And he was darn near sacked, he was. They had him, they let him get away. He was nearly sacked for about a 5-yard loss. Instead, he runs for a 1st down to the 35. So the Browns now have the pressure on the Steelers. The Steelers leading by 7, 23-16, 7 minutes remaining in this ball game.
1st down, 10 yards to go at the 35-yard line. 7 minutes to play. Slot right formation. Draw handoff. McInnes with the ball. Heads to the right, cuts back to the left. He'll get about a yard. Joe Green and Andy Russell are there to put the grab on him. Spot the ball at the 34-yard line and wind up with no gain whatsoever. 2nd down and still 10 yards to go. Buffalo has tied Miami 21-21 in the 4th quarter. Now, that was the one that had so many injured Buffalo players in it that they just decided not even to look at it today. It's 21-21 in the 4th quarter. 2nd down, 10. Cleveland at the Pittsburgh 34. The Browns moving right to left. Brian Sipe is deep. Throwing. Blocked by Joe Green. Had the open man down at the 26-yard line. Ken Brown had gone down and hooked. But the pass is blocked by Joe Green. It falls harmlessly to the turf, incomplete. It is now 3rd down and 10 yards to go. Tim George, 2nd-year split end from Carson Newman, is on the field. He goes 6'5", 210 pounds. Big, strong, wide receiver, replacing Dave Sullivan. Holden goes to the right, and George comes to the left. Holmes is out. Lauren Taves, a 4th linebacker for the Steelers. And Sipe is back. The rush is on. They're after him. They've got him. Dwight White throws him to the turf. Everybody was there. Dwight White threw him to the turf back at the 44-yard line. 2nd time he's been sacked this afternoon, and for White now, his 2nd of the day, total of 6.5 on the season.
And Joe Green hit him first to make him vulnerable for Dwight's sack, and that's important because it moves the Browns out of field goal range. And at this point, with 6 minutes and 4 seconds left, the field goal would have helped them very much.
So the Steelers, who have been without any sacks this afternoon, have picked up 2. Ball is at the 44, and Cockcroft is on to punt, standing at his own 41.5-yard line. Conn and Edwards are deep for Pittsburgh. From right to left, Cockcroft gets it away. And Edwards watches it bounce back inside the 5 into the end zone. takes a good quick bounce. The Browns could not get to it for a moment. It appeared that they would tap it down inside the 5. Mel Long in pursuit, but the ball took a good quick bounce into the end zone, the automatic touchback. Pigskin is back out to the 20-yard line where it will be first down 10. 23-16 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 5:37 to play. Got a timeout down on the field. And with a break in the action, we say Steeler football continues after this brief timeout. Sellout crowd of over 80,000 fans at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland this afternoon, watching the Steelers and the Browns in one of their typical Donnybrooks. Been one of the great games of the season. If you enjoy odd plays, we have seen them today. Pittsburgh with 3 interceptions, 1 carried back for a touchdown. The Browns have had 3 intercepted. Steelers have given up 3 fumbles to the Browns. The Browns gave up 3 to Pittsburgh, and one of those, captured by Joe Green, lateraled off to J.T. Thomas, who carried it in. Pittsburgh ready to go. Joe Gilliam is the quarterback at the Steeler 20-yard line. Slot right. Gilliam drops back. Gilliam throws too high for the intended receiver, Frank Lewis, and almost into the arms of Clarence Scott Long. Van Green covering. Lewis came sailing over the 2 of them and just a little short for Clarence Scott. Wow. Now the question arises with 5:32 to play in the ball game. What are we doing putting the football in the air? That will be a topic of discussion tomorrow at noon at the Steelers' weekly football luncheon. Gilliam's going to throw it again to the far side off the fingertips of Frank Lewis, who was being held up as he ran laterally along the 25 by the cornerback Van Green. Gilliam puts it in the air again. It is 3rd down and 10 yards to go. We got a very strong need to possess the football and to run time off the clock. They're back up to the line of scrimmage. Davis and Harris are the running backs. Gilliam's back. The blitz is on. They're coming after him. He throws under pressure. There's Shanklin to take it up at the 37-yard line on a diving catch. Got a flag down back behind the line of scrimmage. Got a Brown shaken up. Clarence Scott makes the tackle up at the 37. Nick Roman is shaken up. Gilliam is down on the turf. Penalty marker is down. Got something pending against someone. And a conference between 2 of the officials. Here comes the signal. Face mask grabbing against Pittsburgh. Yeah, that would have to be a holding penalty. 10-yard penalty marked off. It's a holding call. Takes the ball back to the 10-yard line. It's going to be 3rd down and 20 yards to go. Joe Gilliam, the quarterback. 5:21. Cleveland takes Nick Roman out. Jim Romanishin is in as a 4th linebacker. He's from Edinburgh State. Gilliam drops back. He's in the end zone. And he throws. Shanklin takes it at the 28-yard line. Just short of a first down. Tackled by Clarence Scott. Shank running those beautiful patterns. Gilliam right on the mark with his pass. They missed the first down by 2 yards. So Gilliam completes his first pass of the afternoon. And Bobby Walden is in there to punt. Tom Darden and Billy LaFleur go deep for Cleveland. Mike Webster will snap the football. Walden standing at his own 15. Webster snaps. Oh, they almost get it. Walden gets it away. High and spiraling. Walden is knocked downfield. The ball is fumbled muffed. Picked up by Pittsburgh and running down and into the end zone, Lauren Taves. The official is saying the ball is dead at the 38-yard line. He's saying you cannot advance that football. It is Pittsburgh's ball. Lauren Taves ran it out anyway. So it comes back to the 38-yard line. The reception of the punt was muffed by Billy LaFear. Pittsburgh's ball. We still got a flag back downfield. Rubbing the kicker. It will be of no consequence. Declined. The ball is at the Cleveland 38-yard line. So Cleveland has now come up with its 7th turnover. Steelers with 4:28 playing the ball game are in a beautiful position to run out a lot of time. In a beautiful position. And Gilliam getting the word from Chuck Roll on the far side of the field. Now he kneels in the huddle. And Steelers are ready to break out of there. Sending Lewis out to the left, putting Shanklin in the slot, wide to the left side. Gilliam has them in the I formation. Steve Davis shifts off to the right side. And the handoff to Franco through the middle, down over the 35. He goes on to the 33, maybe past the 33-yard line. Bob Babbage, Mike Seifert on the stop of the Cleveland Browns at the 32.5-yard line. Gain of about 6 yards, 2nd down, and 4 yards to go for the Steelers. Franco, 19 carries, 136 yards on the afternoon. San Francisco has now scored 20 points against Chicago. New Orleans leads L.A. 10-0. Hand off to Franco on a delay across the 30. Digs into a man and makes it almost to the 25. Van Green had to grab on him. Franco has the first down. He's carried the ball just short of the Cleveland 25-yard line, the 9th first down of the afternoon for the Steelers. Clock turns with 3 minutes and 33 seconds to play. Pittsburgh in possession in Cleveland territory. Houston clings to a 7-3 lead over Cincinnati in the 3rd quarter. Nothing later on that ball game. Joe Gilliam calling the signals. Gilliam gives it to Franco Harris, I believe. It is. Jerry Shirk and Walter Johnson meet him at the 24. Short gainer. About a yard on the play. 2nd down and 9. Clock turning. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to play. 2nd down, 9 yards to go. The Pittsburgh Steelers reaching out, trying to get their first victory here in Municipal Stadium in 10 years, and the first sweep of a season series over the Browns since back in the 50s. Here's Gilliam, Steve Davis, slanting to the right, down to the 20, and on to the 19-yard line. Davis, the ball carrier, and Bob Babbage at the bottom of the play with Jerry Shirk for the Cleveland Browns. And the ball is being spotted at the 19.5-yard line, 3rd down, and 4 yards to go. 3rd and 4 for the Steelers, leading 23-16. We're down to the 2-minute warning mark. Timeout called on the field. With a break in the action, we'll be right back. Steelers came into this game having forced 27 fumbles and recovered 14. Unofficially, they forced 6 this afternoon and recovered 4. That figure would include the muffed punt reception, which the Steelers recovered in Browns territory. 3rd down and 4. The ball inches inside the 20-yard line. 2 minutes to go. Slot left. They slip Steve Davis over into a close slot position. Pitch out quickly to Franco. Has a blocker. Jim Clack. Franco cuts goes down over the 10, and he is in there for a first down. Or rather, John Kolb. I beg your pardon. John Kolb pulling and blocking out to the left. And the first down is recorded at the 9, and the tackle for the Cleveland Browns made by Bob Babbage. First down and goal to go at the 9. Very big play on the pitch to the left side of Franco. Now somebody is setting off fireworks over in the end zone area. Those people have had a good afternoon. At the 9, pivot by Gilliam, the give to Franco. Plows into the middle. He'll get a couple of yards down to the 7-yard line. Runs into the arms of Bob Babbage. And Cleveland will use up a timeout with 1:03 remaining in the ball game. Cleveland Browns came into this ball game with a record of 3 wins and 6 losses. If Pittsburgh can hold on for the victory, the Browns will drop off to 3-7. And the Steelers have an opportunity to gain ground on the Bengals this afternoon. If Houston holds on, Oilers are leading the Bengals 7-3. That's a little too tight for comfort. Pittsburgh with a victory can up its record to 7-2-1 at the top of the Central Division. Larry Brown has replaced Randy Grossman at tight end for the Steelers. 2 quarterbacks we're watching in the game in this late stage. Interesting. Gilliam, a 273rd choice in the draft, and Sipe, a 330th draft choice in the overall NFL draft back in 1972. Slot right. Second down, 7 at the 7. Give to Davis, running to the left, caught from behind, good pursuit, brought down along the 10-yard line. Babbage and Garlington were over there, and John Garlington pursuing him from behind and brought him down along the 10-yard line. Seifert was across the way. They will spot the ball at the 9, so a 2-yard loss. Clock is down to 55 seconds. Steelers are in good position to go to Roy Girella if they need to. And Girella has already kicked 3 field goals this afternoon. 32-yarder, another 32-yarder, and a 23-yard field goal. So the ball is at the 9-yard line. Clock showing 55 seconds. The Browns used up a timeout. Gilliam comes back out on the field after talking with Chuck Knoll. An official comes in and blows a whistle and is pointing. Third down and goal to go from the 9. Steelers leading by 7 points. All right, here they come. Shanklin in the slot wide to the left. Setbacks are wide. Gilliam moves that football to Steve Davis. Running to the right, he gets down almost to the 5-yard line and is stopped. Bob Babbage and Tom Darden put the stop on him. 46 seconds. Time is stopped again at the 5-yard line, and Girella is on, looking for his 4th field goal of the afternoon. The try will be in the area of the 12 or 13-yard line. Line of scrimmage is the 5, maybe a foot or so outside of the 5. So Girella will try to ice it down. Cleveland has just used up its final timeout. Buffalo and Miami 21-21 late. The Jets leading New England 21-13 late. Houston has now taken a 14-3 lead over Cincinnati. That helps. And the Oilers are something else. Walden holding at the 12-yard line. Ball is down. Girella kicks it. It is up there. Good. A 22-yarder by Roy Girella. Pittsburgh lead increases to 26-16. And that should just about do it. I'm afraid to even think it, but it should. Girella has kicked 4 field goals this afternoon. So the little guy is back in form. We came into this fourth quarter trailing 16-13. Steelers have now scored 13 points in the final period in a bizarre football game. A great afternoon for football at the lakefront. And a typical Pittsburgh-Cleveland meeting. Billy LaFleur and Eddie Brown are deep for the Cleveland Browns. Girella will kick off. Girella boots it high, relatively short. And it is taken by LaFleur. Running up across the 20, cutting to his right to the 25, and heading out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Chased out by Marv Kellum. Mike Phipps is on for the first time this afternoon as quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. The 5-year veteran from Purdue. 36 seconds remaining. So the clock will start with the snap of the football. Joe Green out, Lauren Taves in as the 4th linebacker for the Steelers. Cleveland puts a man in the slot to the left side. Phipps drops back. Phipps throwing out the near side, a diving catch at the 32 by Ken Brown, and they really trapped it, incomplete. He seemed to know it because he did not get up and try to go. The log on site, 28 passes, 13 completed, 3 intercepted. Mel Blunt made the play on Brown that time. 31 seconds remaining at the Cleveland 27-yard line. Ernie Holmes going off the field. Joe Green is back in there. 3-man front for the Steelers. 4 linebackers. Phipps, the quarterback for Cleveland, drops back, runs forward, throws, and throws behind his target at the 40-yard line. Steve Holden tried to reach back for the football, could not get it. Lambert and Wagner covering the play. Clock is stopped at 26 seconds to go. And we're watching that scoreboard to see if we get any finals. The Giants leading Detroit 13-10. New Orleans, our next opponent, a week from Monday night, leading L.A. 10-0. Green Bay out in front of Minnesota 6-0 in the second quarter. Mike Phipps will pass again. Phipps throwing, and just wide of the receiver Hugh McInnes up at the 36-yard line, covered by Jack Lambert. Incomplete. 20 seconds to play. Let's pause now for station identification.
Hi there, this is John Gary, and I hope you'll join me every day 3 to 7 for the hit parade of yesterday and today.
WTAE, AM and FM, Pittsburgh.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers have wrapped up a big victory this afternoon. It did not come without considerable work. Cleveland Browns came out here to play a football game today, and that's what they did. It's been a bizarre football show. Here is Phipps, under pressure, spins away from a tackler, and is throwing the bomb downfield. Pass is intercepted, interference against Pittsburgh. J.T. Thomas intercepted, and Jack Ham jumped on the would-be receiver, Steve Holden. And that's going to be a long penalty. From the Cleveland 27. Jack Ham face guarding and jumping on the receiver. And I think had the opinion that he was pretty well beat on the play and decided with time running out that he'd just take the interference call. 40 yards, 63-yard penalty in effect. And a first down for the Cleveland Browns if you're a statistics nut. But only 6 seconds remaining. The Browns are at the Pittsburgh 10. J.T. Thomas came up with the ball. Had we not interfered, that would have been his 3rd interception of the afternoon. So Mike Phipps has them in possible scoring position. They trail by 10. Phipps drops back short, looks right, throws to the left, and it's incomplete. Intended in the end zone for Tim George, covered by Mike Wagner. 2 seconds remaining. Wagner covering his man. Very close. Ball is returned to the 10-yard line. Much of the crowd has departed. The Steeler partisans have hung in here pretty much. Right down to the end, and what has turned out to be a fine afternoon. Here we go. More fireworks going off in the end zone. They've had their money's worth over there this afternoon, like a Chinese fire drill. Here is Phipps dropping back. Phipps throwing out to the left. He throws wide of his intended receiver. Hugh McInnes along the 5-yard line being pursued by Andy Russell. The gun sounds the end of this ball game. At the lakefront this afternoon, Pittsburgh has broken the spell. After a drought of 10 years, the Steelers win one here at the Lakefront Stadium. They also sweep the Cleveland series, and they take a firm grip on their position at the top of the Central Division. The final score in this afternoon's game, Pittsburgh 26, Cleveland 16.